And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Another episode of Weighing In, stuck in airports, you and I both. Like we didn't even get a chance, an opportunity to film last week because we were in Hawaii. Obviously, everyone knows that. But for the USO tour, started on Monday and Tuesday, so we didn't get a chance to break down the Colby fights, the Colby and Usman fight, and all the other fights that were on that card. Let's just get right into it, man. Let's go.
Let's do it. Which one do you want to do first? Colby?
Yeah, let's talk Colby and Usman.
All right. I actually, it's people can say what they want, everything about that fight. I thought those guys fought their asses off. I thought they were fantastic. I thought Colby Covington is he's a savage, man. That dude's a warrior because break your jaw and then get punched on it. See what it's like. Mm-hmm. That is a horrible feeling, and he's stuck in that fight. I can understand, his disappointment at the end of it, with the being stopped. And it's not – the fight was going to end up going to Usman, in my opinion, anyways. So the stoppage, no matter if you liked it or you didn't like it, it didn't change anything. And but hats off, in my opinion, Colby Covington's stock actually rose with that fight, win or loss, based upon the performance that he put in. He was fantastic. He was taking shots. He was giving shots. Usman was absolutely phenomenal. A little bit more power from Usman, a little bit more volume and output from Colby, but I don't think you can ask for a better, a better fight for a championship belt. Is fantastic.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I sat up here and I'm gonna eat some crow a little bit. I sat up here and I'm gonna be upfront and honest, man. I mean, I legit thought Usman would start to teeter out around the rounds 4 and 5, and the other thing too is when Colby decided to make it a stand-up fight with Usman, neither one of the guys shot. Not one. I thought
it was smart.
Yeah,
I thought Usman was smart in saying, you know what, I'm not gonna waste energy. I'm not gonna burn my gas tank trying to take a guy that I know can wrestle down, and a possibility of him popping back to his feet. And so I wasted all that energy to come up with basically nothing. You know what? Let's see how good you are on your feet. I've been working on this. I think I'm good at it. I think that I can stand with you. So let's see. And I'll tell you what, the output by both guys was amazing to me. Yeah,
it was the output was phenomenal. Look, I think there's a couple things that Colby could have done. He should have wrestled. He should have made Usman's arms and legs and everything feel heavy and start to fill up with blood. I mean, Usman to me is the bigger fighter. Usman to me has more muscle. And anytime you make a guy like that wrestle, sure, I think Usman's the better wrestler of the two. But
then how's he going to push him? How's he going to push him in that area when the guy's actually better? Because could it be that Usman could actually rest and relax in those areas?
I guess what I'm saying is when you wrestle someone, you don't have to always wrestle them to take them down. You can wrestle them to make them work.
True.
And that's not press them to the fence, pull a single leg, make them get away from the fence, and then go right back into a double. If you don't get it, come back up to the clinch, make him pummel, make him work. You're not always trying. That's the one mistake I think young fighters they sometimes make. Every takedown is not going to be a takedown, so don't force it and hang out down there. Like sometimes you don't get it, just come up to the over-under or the double unders and try to just hang out there for a little bit. Make the guy work for his position. Not every time will you be successful. And so I think Colby could have maybe pushed Usman in that. Look, this is all in hindsight, obviously. We're standing back.
Absolutely.
We're standing back like picking apart two guys that fucking fought. Absolutely amazing. I gotta tell you, I was sitting there watching. I was like, "This is amazing." I didn't expect it to be a full stand-up fight. I thought sure there'd be moments where they would stand, but I gotta tell you, the one thing that made the difference in the fight was the push kick. The push kick of Usman. It was a jab, but a longer range one, and also, I know the body shots helped, but I think the push kicks actually led up to that because Colby had to get within boxing range, and then Usman was able to go to the body. But in the meantime, when he was standing on the outside just trying to snap the jab, that push kick paid dividends later on in the fight. In the 4th and 5th round, it slowed Colby down. And then after Colby broke his jaw, I think, look, anytime you fought with an injury, like I fought Benson with torn ligaments all through my wrist, tore my thumb almost like completely away from everything, and the whole time after the first round, I dominated the first round. After the first round, I was a different fighter. It was always on my mind, like, okay, how can you damage it more? You don't know what's wrong with it. You just know that something's fucked up. And so you don't know if you can damage it more. You don't know what the issue is. I just know it was folding all the way back. Colby didn't know what was going on with his jaw. He's like, he knew it was broken, but how bad? Am I going to be like, is it going to be so bad that I can't? I'll have to have he's obviously going to probably have to have his jaw wire shut for a while. But I'm saying, like, is it so bad that, I could end up losing some teeth? Like, we talked to Frank Mir when he fought Javier Ayala, and he said that he had broke part of his, what's it called? Not
mandible.
Mandible. And he said pretty much the dentist told him, or the doctor told him, that all those teeth may end up eventually just turning gray because they're going to die. They're going to die. Yeah. So those are things that you start to think like, man, shit, like, you don't know how much more damage you're going to commit to yourself, but when people want to sit back and look, all the other trash talk aside that Colby did, everyone tuned in to watch him get beat. He lost. He took it on the chin, literally, and it just was one of those things. I got to tip my hat to him. He knew his jaw was broken the 3rd round, and in between 3 and 4, he went out there and told his corner. His corner's like, just calm down. And that's kind of how Bob Cook is too. Calm down. Okay, let's go back out there and let's do this and do that. He won the 4th round.
I don't know if he won it, but I'll tell you what, he put on one hell of a performance in it. It was a close round.
It was a close round. I had him winning. I had him winning the 4th. I actually had it like most judges had it. I had it 2-2. I had it 2-2 as well.
So did I.
But I could see the argument of making it 3-1 like that one judge. I thought round 1 or 2, I thought Colby won. He had a chance at winning both. And so I could see the argument on that as well. But I had it 2-2 just before everyone starts crucifying me in the comment section.
I think Sal D'Amato had it 3-1 for Covington. I think Derek Cleary had it 3-1 for Usman.
For Usman. Okay.
And the other was 2-2 right down the middle. So whoever won that 5th round, they were going to win the fight.
Yeah.
And it was clear Usman was going to win the 5th round.
Yeah, he was going to win the 5th round, especially after you dropped him.
After taking that damage and everything, Colby wasn't going to come back and do this, spectacular comeback. He was hurt and he was stunned, and just to be able to survive that round would have taken a lot and would have been something special. But he wasn't going to win it, so Usman was going to win the fight. He's he deserved that fight. He deserves the championship. That dude is a stud. He is the Nigerian nightmare right now, man, and he's just getting better.
Yeah. No, I think he is, and I think also this is a good confidence builder for him on the feet, having a little bit more comfort on the feet, having a little bit more belief in his stand-up. So we may potentially start seeing him start knocking more people out. I wouldn't suggest he get away from it too much from what his bread and butter is, which is his wrestling. But Colby and him, it was a rare thing where two guys could wrestle very well, and they both knew they were going to expend a ton of energy trying to get a takedown. And I thought Colby should have, after round 1, going into round 2, and Usman didn't shoot, I thought he should have at least started threatening the takedown, which would have opened up his stand-up a little bit more. And I feel that way for both guys. I feel that way generally. If you have any type of wrestling at all, you should threaten the takedown, and even if you're not thinking about getting, like you don't really care if you get it or not, it keeps it in their mind. And so that to me was one of those scenarios and situations, because that's another situation on later on or earlier on in the card when Jermaine Randamie fought Amanda Nunes. She tried to get the takedown. She got the takedown, but then she kind of got away from it a little bit, and then she came back to it. So at least it was in her mind, and that 1 second delays your response. That hesitation when you're talking the two best people of that weight class, whether it's Colby and Usman or it's Jermaine and Amanda Nunes, like you're talking the two best people. A split hairline second is all you need for that one person to be a little bit better than the other, and that makes a huge difference when you're talking the best 2 or best 3 or best 4 people in the world.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's go to the second fight. Let's go to Volkanovski versus Max Holloway.
You've been waiting to talk about this one.
Come on, baby. Who told you?
Yeah.
But you know what? I was so wrong in the way that he went about doing it. Because, Volkanovski, he's thrown leg kicks. He's thrown some kicks. But he comes in with a boxing approach. He throws heavy leather with his hands. Man, the leg kicks, that's what won him that fight. It was a good fight for both guys. I think Volkanovski definitely won. I know Max thought he won it. I didn't think he did. I had Volkanovski. I had it, Volkanovski winning at 3-2. I thought the judge that gave it a 50-45, I don't know how he did that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. But one of the things you got to understand is when you're sitting in that seat, sometimes you don't see the significant things that occur that are going to give you the round to one guy over the other based upon angles, based upon the position of the fighters, based upon the position of the referee blocking your view. So I don't like to get on guys. He had the right guy winning. That's what's important, but I didn't think it was 50-45.
Got it. Yeah, I had I thought that definitely the difference in the fight was the leg kicks. It helped set everything else up.
Crazy.
And also Max is known for his pace, and he finally got outpaced by somebody else. And that was I think to me, that was the key in the fight. I think people kept thinking Volkanovski was going to slow down, and he never did. And you had said he probably wasn't gonna when we had talked about this. I think this is a whole show for this fight card where we're going to eat a little bit of crow.
I'm not eating crow on that one, man.
Well, you picked him, but you didn't pick him that way.
I didn't pick him with leg kicks. I admit that.
I guess a win's a win, though, right? A win's a win.
That's it, man. Come on.
Yeah, I look, I didn't think Max won. I thought Volkanovski did a good enough job to win. I had it the same way you did, 3-2. And I thought it was a great fight. I thought
was.
The thing is every time they do 3 title fights, it's not really,
they all go the distance.
It all goes the distance, and it's like, I think this is like the 5th time. I think you had said this is probably like the 5th time they've done and all 4 of the ones from before, as I recall, they all stunk. This one was a lot better than those other ones, a lot better. Amanda and Jermaine was kind of a little bit of a snoozer at some points.
But it was a smart
fight. It was a smart fight.
By Amanda. This is where, and people were talking about, and look, I'm not taking anything away from Amanda. I love her. I think she's fantastic. But she is not the best striker in the world, and that has been labeled on top of her. And you go, no, she's not. And that's not taking anything away from her. She's a good striker. She's got good power, and she has knocked people out. But there are women out there that are technically and just better strikers on the feet than Amanda Nunes, and her being that smart fighter and saying, hey, this is MMA. I'm going to wrestle the fuck out of you and take you down and try to beat you on the ground. That is exactly what she should have done against someone like, Jermaine. It's crazy to think that people wanted her to stand up with Jermaine. That's a good way to lose your title.
Yeah, Jermaine's definitely the better striker, and that was showcased throughout the fight. That's why Amanda went to the takedowns, which was smart though. But
smart.
That's why I felt Colby or Usman should have potentially changed and mixed it up a little bit, because then that would have opened up the striking a little bit more.
Yeah, but there's a significant difference between the ground game of Jermaine and the ground game of Amanda.
Yeah, that was evident the very first takedown. that was evident, and I love Jermaine. Jermaine's like one of my homegirls. Like she just, she's a great person, and but until you learn how to stop a takedown, until you learn how to use an underhook. You and I were talking about this.
She was killing me.
Just driving me crazy. Like wrist control or an underhook. Do that for me.
She has half guard. She's even doing a knee shield inside, and her hand is free. It's like, get that underhook. That will get you up. That's your key to getting out. Never came, man. I was like,
It becomes so frustrating to watch. I was just like, man.
But I'll tell you, that third round, that up kick, man, that came close to starching Amanda. She almost, you could see her just give that jolt of, and she froze. So her brain got scrambled for that moment. You go, that close.
Yeah.
Could have been different.
Yeah, I thought Jermaine did a really good job at getting up. I was surprised. There were some moments in the very first round she couldn't get up. But then at times she had some good chances and some good opportunities to get up, which she did and capitalized on. But there was also moments where I thought she got up and she could have just backed out and got away, and she stayed there real close. I'm like, no, make her get in on you again, and just I was like yelling at the TV, I was just like, But it's the emotions. I got to tell you, like when you're watching your friends fight, you get a little emotional and you get a little like, So, but definitely was a good fight. Let's talk.
One of the things, though, you got to admit with Amanda has learned earlier in her career, she had a really hard time with her conditioning. And it's not that she wasn't in shape. It's not that she wasn't training. She didn't know where to grab air in the fight. She didn't know when to rest. And you watch her now, very, very good at grabbing those moments, slowing things down, grabbing that little bit of air, getting her heart rate just down just a little bit, and then picking it back up. She has really progressed in that area where now when she's controlling the fight, she's not going to get tired.
Yeah, I think she needs to work on her conditioning a little bit more. I don't know if she's carrying a little bit too much muscle for her body size. She is a bigger girl, so she does carry quite a bit of muscle on her if you take a look at her. And so and we've seen that before. People that generally carry a little bit too much muscle, they tend to kind of slow down as the fight goes on. I think her cardio was a little bit exposed, I think, in that people just get used to her knocking people out, getting them out of there, walking through them, and they get accustomed to that. And also the fighter gets accustomed to that as well. So they're thinking, okay, if I don't get you out of here, I get you out of here in 2, and then they don't get you out of here in 2. Oh shit, I haven't been to the third round in 6 fights. And so it just, like I said, training never really simulates the fight like you think it does. You could train as hard as you want or spar as hard as you want. It's not the same. I mean, no matter how hard you try, it's not the same. And so I think she was a little bit exposed in the conditioning area, but she's a true champion. She came through. She made the adjustments between rounds, started going to the takedowns a little bit more, and it was good. She made Jermaine work from the bottom. Jermaine just didn't have enough pop and power in her to get the knockout. She did rock her a couple times, I think in the 4th or in the 5th, something like that. But then Amanda was able to get the takedown again right off of that, and that slows everything down again. So very smart fight by Amanda.
Yeah, the second round for Jermaine was actually a good round. But you don't have to win every round. If you're the champ, you don't have to. All you got to do is you got to win 3 of them. If you're going to end up going to the scorecards, it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, unless your name is Deontay Wilder.
1 second.
1 second of any of those rounds, man. That's 1 second. I guess we could talk a little controversy. Let's talk the Jose Aldo and Moraes fight.
All right, let's do it. What'd you think?
Well, you know what I thought. Look, I thought Jose Aldo won. I can also make. I could understand where you're coming from, where you thought Moraes won. And
I'm telling you, I went and watched it. I did not get to see that fight because I was flying in when that fight, and I was actually coming to the hotel. So right away, I'm getting on my thing, buying the pay-per-view, but I missed that fight, and I didn't see it. And even my son, who was there judging that night, he said, I kind of think Aldo won. And Mark Goddard, who was the referee, after talking to him, and I hadn't seen the fight, he goes, I kind of think Aldo won. And Mike Bell was one of the judges, and he gave it to Aldo. And I got a lot of respect for Mike Bell and then a couple other guys. And so I was like, I went into that fight watching it going, well, Aldo's going to win because these guys have told me. And so the first round, it's a good round, but no doubt Marlon Moraes wins the round.
Yep, I had him win.
Dude, he hurt him in the first 15 seconds of the fight with a kick to the head, and you could see it stuns him. That's the best blow. There's good back and forth, but Moraes wins. Second round, Aldo lands the better shots. He wins the round. So it comes down to that third round, and this is where people are into this movement. They're into pressing. They're into he's aggressive. And years ago, we took the criteria for judging and switched things because we had too many wrestlers taking people down and controlling them. And we had everything the same. And so they had that. That was what the judges were going. I said, well, he had more control, and he was controlling him the whole fight. So a guy that was trying to let the clock, slide by was winning against the guy that was actually trying to fight, the guy that was trying to end the fight, the guy that was trying to finish the fight. So the criteria has changed, and it's one of the problems. I know Joe Rogan was very vocal about that he thought Aldo won, and he's not looking at the criteria the way it's supposed to be done. Joe knows fighting, no doubt about it. I love the guy. He's great. He's an awesome commentator. I will never say a bad word about that, but he does not look at a fight the way the judge is looking at the fight. He was the whole time, how good Aldo looked, and I did think Aldo looked good. I was very impressed with how much energy he had in the fight,
especially
and that he was going
cut.
after it. Yeah, but if you go to that third round, Aldo starts winning the round, and he's winning the round for about the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, and Moraes hits him with some shots and kind of brings it a little bit close. Aldo then kind of gets a couple in there, but with about 2 minutes left in that fight, Aldo is pressing the entire time, but he's not throwing. In fact, he throws very little, and he lands even less. He lands a couple of shots, and if you watch, Moraes lands the better shots throughout the rest of that round, and that's what kind of gives it to him. And I was expecting to, I was waiting as I'm watching, because I have Moraes up just a little bit, and I'm watching, and I'm thinking something's got to happen right here at the end, and nothing but pressure. Pressure doesn't win the fight. If it is a stand-up fight, which is that was, except for the one takedown by Moraes, if it's a stand-up fight, what the judges are looking at is, first thing, knockdowns. That's the top thing they're looking for. Second thing is damaging blows. Blows that they can see. That affected the fighter in a negative fashion. It stunned him. It rocked him. It put him back, any of those things. Then they're looking for volume. But if you are throwing shots and they're not hitting targets that are scoring targets, you're hitting arms or anything like that, it doesn't count for anything. And Moraes landed the cleaner shots. It's a close fight, and I wouldn't have cared, I wouldn't have been upset if they had given the decision to Aldo. It was a very close fight. And the fact that people make it controversial, it's like you had two judges and one judge. That's as close as you get. And Joe come up, let's get 9 judges. Oh, my God. Come on. You think it's not going to change. Yeah. You're always going to have people. If you looked at the journalists that scored that fight, the journalists were split almost 50-50. And that's because it was a close fight. Yeah. And it just kind of depends on what you give credit to.
So then you think that we should just be educating our commentators on what the actual scoring criteria is?
I think, man, it's the one thing that we have going on. We have information being put out to our fans that, if the fan tunes into the UFC, he expects that Dominic Cruz, Daniel Cormier, Joe Rogan, those are the experts, and they know what the criteria is for the fight. And if you don't know and you're putting out information that goes against what the criteria is, because the last thing that they're going to look for is ring control. But I hear that comment all the time by those guys. All right. Aggression comes after. If you can't say who won based upon what took place more, striking or grappling, who had the better striking, who had the better grappling, that's even. Now you'll go to aggression. So if it was even at that point, no doubt Aldo would have gotten the win. But it wasn't even.
Yeah, I feel like you do. I actually thought Aldo still won even after I went back and watched it. But like I said, like you said, and we said, we're splitting straws, man. We're splitting straws. Yeah. It really does come down to we're splitting straws. And I think when you get to that close of a fight, I guess the next question is this, though. Henry Cejudo comes out and says, I thought Aldo won, and I'd rather fight Aldo. Aldo's the best. Aldo, I know.
That's a simple one. Henry Cejudo he probably didn't even watch the fight. All right? So that has nothing to do with it. Yeah. Who's the bigger name?
Yeah.
Marlon Moraes or Jose Aldo.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Jose Aldo is. Who has Henry already fought? He already fought Marlon.
Yeah.
That's how he won the title. So he would rather face Jose Aldo. It's going to do, a better fight for him. It's going to be something he can build more. It's a bigger name. I don't blame him. Mm-hmm. I don't blame him for wanting to fight Aldo over him. And I really don't have a problem, if the UFC gave Aldo that shot, being that, not off of that fight, but that fight he fought really well, but being who he has been throughout his career and the number of years that he was the featherweight champion, I don't have a problem with it.
I'm gonna go back to me. I can't recall if you were part of it or not, but I'm going to eat a little bit of crow because I thought he honestly wasn't going to look good dropping down to 135.
So I was right there.
Yeah. So
I thought he was going to have problems making the weight. I thought he was going to be just emaciated and not have energy if the fight went into the third round. Totally wrong.
I thought he looked great.
He did.
Marlon Moraes is a huge 135-pounder. And he was backing Marlon up. Like you said, all he had to do was just push a little bit, like throw more output. I think had he pushed the pace and had output.
Come on, Josh. One leg kick.
I know. That's insane.
One. He used to kill people.
I know.
With a super fast, super hard, beautifully thrown leg kick. I mean, do you remember Uriah Faber's leg?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it looked like?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Where was it that your game plan showed you that Marlon Moraes is this takedown master that wants to fight on the ground?
Yeah.
He doesn't. So you can't sit there and say we were worried about getting taken down. No. You plan to try to go into a boxing range because you have been training as a boxer now. And you gave up a tool set that would have gotten you that win, the same as Volkanovski used against Holloway. The difference in the fight being those leg kicks. If Aldo would have kicked like Volkanovski, guess who would have won the fight?
Yeah. Yep. No, you and I, when we first sat down, I was like, I actually didn't even see the leg kick. So you came and said, yeah, I saw at the beginning of the second round, there was one leg kick. And I was like, are you sure? So I'm going to go back and check your stats. No,
I think you're lying.
Yeah. It's one of those situations. I'm looking at the TV and I'm thinking, it's coming. A leg kick's coming. Never came. I was like, fuck. So,
but that does go back to your training, and everyone has been talking about, Jose has been talking about, I want to do some boxing matches and things, and he's been training it with boxing, and you don't think about it, but you revert back to your training. If you have been training to do something, that's what you tend to do. And that's what he did. He boxed.
But when he was younger, he would go right hand, left hook to the body, come back up top, and then boom, and then come with a kick.
Beautiful.
And now he doesn't have, he's one or the other. It's not both together like he used to, and it's frustrating. I know he's getting older, but I think for him, it just needs to be a switch that turns, because it's there. There's no doubt it's there. It's, I would like to see him use it, because that was such a key weapon. And I think, like you said, if they end up running it back, the two of them doing it again, in a fight or two, if he uses kicks, I think the whole fight's a different story, a completely different fight.
So do I.
Different. So, and who knows? You may see that fight as a 5-round fight as well, and then that would change things as well. So,
thoughts on Uriah Faber, Peter Yan? What'd you think?
It was
exactly what we thought.
It's look.
I hate to say that.
Yeah, look, it was exactly what we thought it would be, but I actually reached out to Uriah afterwards, and I was like, look, man, I don't even know if he's going to fight again. No, I don't think anyone does right now. I'm not making those kind of decisions.
Doesn't have to.
But honest to God, he looked better than I thought he was going to look. Like, and I know he ended up getting stopped. I know it wasn't what he wanted, ideal world, all these things. But I got to tell you, he looked faster than I thought he would look.
He did look faster than I thought he would look compared to Yan.
Yep. Yeah, and
I thought going in, I thought, man, Peter's way faster than Uriah, and he wasn't. He was faster, but not way faster.
Now, so I look at it differently. I looked at Peter wasn't faster. Peter was tighter. Uriah left himself out of position.
that.
A lot of things. He was faster to get there, but he left himself out of positions where he ended up getting hit in the exchanges on the way out or opening up too much on the way in and got hit coming in. So that's what those are the things that I thought, like, if he could just keep it tighter, I think he would have probably had a little bit better of a chance. It still would have ended, I think, not ended the same way, but it would have still ended with him losing. But I honestly, as a promotion, I see it their way of like, hey, we can't keep paying you this kind of money if you're not fighting the best guys. But we know you're still a draw because of your name. We know you can still, obviously we see you can still fight. You still have speed. You still, and all that time off that he has taken, that also kind of will hinder for him to jump in. He should have fought, I thought, one more lower level guy to get himself back on track of, getting back to his combinations, getting back into mixing up. But time's ticking. So you got.
But it's also going back to what you're saying. You're making that much money. I'm not going to pay you that much money for me to give you another. I want you to get a win. Mm-hmm. I got to start putting you against real guys, and you got to prove that you're up in that level.
Yeah. Peter was a tough fight for him. And then when I saw Peter throw him the way he threw him, I was like, ooh, this ain't gonna go well. He flung him down, and I was like, ooh, man, this isn't good. But overall, I thought Peter just stayed tight, stayed composed. Good head movement, stiff, obviously very good boxing.
Every time Uriah came in, he made him pay.
Yep.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
When you're taking shots and you're trying to get somewhere to either throw yours or to get your hands on him for the takedown, and you're eating shots and taking damage, it just slows you mentally down in, I don't want to do that again. It's tougher.
Yeah, he was headhunting quite a bit. And anytime Peter would just duck directly under, he left himself on the outside. Like he ended up going right hand over the top.
Right over.
And he stayed there and paused. Peter ducked out to the side, hit the combination, and moved on. I don't know. And then I actually went back and watched how the finishing with the head kick and stuff. It looked like he was just trying to pull Uriah's head down into the knee. And when it didn't go his way, he's like, fuck it. Let me just throw the foot up there and see what happens. Yeah. And it just so happened to be right on the button. It's one of those things. But he showed to me that he still has it in him to fight top guys. I just don't think he's going to have it back in him to get to a title shot. So then you as for myself, and we'll get into Frankie Edgar later, but I look at it like, look, you've done so much, man. I went through this for myself. Frankie's going to be probably going through it for himself. Uriah should be going through it for himself right now. Are you fighting for the money? Are you fighting to try and be champion? What are you fighting for? And is it worth the amount of damage your head, your body is going to take for 3 or 4 more fights? And if you have a legacy, like, look, I'm not going to even try to compare my legacy or my fight career to Frankie and Uriah, but you get to I know later on in the life, like people look at Muhammad Ali, it's still Muhammad Ali. No one talks about all the losses he had. They talk about all the great fights he had.
No one cares about the losses.
Yeah, no one cares about the losses. And so when people talk about like legacy, I'm like, you guys don't even think about that. Uriah and Frankie have had, you can't walk through a room when you run into Frankie Edgar and they don't talk about the Gray Maynard fight. Both fights, they're like good. I know he fought him 3 times, but the 2 that for the title, absolutely insane. You know what I mean? Like, no one goes back and says, oh, that one fight that he lost. Nah, that shit don't matter. So I want their health to come out on top at the end of the day. I want them to be healthy. I want them to still be able to have a conversation. And both of them still can do that very well now. And so I'm just started questioning myself, like, how much more do you guys have? And what's the purpose? For what? A couple $100,000?
First off, I never know exactly where someone's financial stability is, if it's there or not. I know Uriah has been really smart in a lot of the things he's done, a lot of good business dealings. He has a business with his dad. They flip homes and do things and stuff like that. So you do have to ask yourself, why am I fighting? And there's that, you can look at Tito Ortiz. Tito has gone on from a guy that, was on top of the world at one point and then had, a lot of down times and a long losing streak, and then came out of it and now you can look at his last, couple fights. They're obviously, it's Chael Sonnen he's fighting, or Chuck Liddell, or Alberto Del Rio Del Patreon, whatever. But smart on his part if he's making the money that he wants. Now I know he took a chance he made good money in the Chael fight. He took a real chance with the Chuck fight and didn't get what they thought they were going to get, and that's part of the business. But he made really good money with this last fight. In a fight he took no damage. And so if you want to continue fighting because you have that in you where you say, man, I just need the competition, then there's ways of getting that competition. And if you're Uriah, you can still fight. You may not want to fight in the UFC, but then again, where are you going to get the money? That's what's tough. So then you can go towards, he's the grappling things like the quintets. If competition is really what's keeping you in, you can get your competition in other ways without getting hit in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know. It's that thing. I don't know.
It's tough.
It's a decision. Like I battled it for probably about 6 months. I went back and forth in my head, and there's not much up there, so it took me a little while to get through it. But when I finally got through it,
it had a long distance to bounce around. So
yeah.
That's my problem.
Went from one ear hole to the other ear hole, and then I just whatever. So but it's a lot. Like you have to be. Here's the thing. I had to realize to myself that I had to let everything else go and focus on something else. You cannot keep going to the gym and training and working out. If you're going and
training and working out with the guys, you're going to want to do it again.
Yeah. Yep. That's the issue.
I've said it before, and some people get mad at me for it because there's an addiction to it. There is.
Yep.
It's just the way it is, and it's okay. It's not. I'm not saying it's a bad addiction, but we can get addicted to. You can get addicted to working out.
It is. It's very true. I get that way all the time, and that's what got me addicted to fighting. I enjoyed training all the time, and that was the that's kind of what kept me in the gym. I became a gym rat that way, So I guess we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. We'll see what they
Well, whatever Uriah decides to do, best of luck to him. If he wants to continue to fight, man, go at it. That's great. I'd back him 100% because he's just a winner. He's a winner in life.
Yep, I agree. I agree with you, my man. I agree with you.
Frankie Edgar.
I think he does.
I felt horrible.
Yeah, look.
He got hit with a couple of shots, and I was like, oh, my God, he's in trouble. And it was almost like, you brought up the Gray Maynard thing. It was almost like that. You were almost expecting Frankie to get his way out of it. And it just wasn't going to happen. Man, when you saw the Korean Zombie and he got the hooks and you saw those hips coming off the ground and the legs were up, to understand how much it takes from Frankie to get himself out of that position, to get himself back to his knees and hands at certain points and then get put back there again and have to work his way out. Man, I was like, man, he's giving it everything he has. It just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. Frankie might get mad at me for saying this, but I blame it on the haircut. The hairstyle. the hairstyle. I never seen him come out with the hairstyle like that.
You didn't like the poof?
I blame it on the hair. He looked like a chia pet. Frankie, you're my boy, dog, but we got to do something about the hairstyle, dog. You got to cut the hair next time, kids. Obviously, that hairstyle is bad luck. No, I actually was texting back and forth with him after the fight. Obviously before the fight as well. Always wishing him luck. But there's just not those nights. Some nights are just not your night. The key is to always try when you feel like maybe it's not your night or it's not going your way. It's just to still try and ink out a victory some way, somehow. He just never got the opportunity or the chance. And I go back to this, and he's always been the guy that's been faster than the other guys. And so as we get older, I know you guys probably get sick and tired of hearing comparing him to myself. But if you go back and watch my Patricky fight where I lost, I got dropped in the first round, but it wasn't I got dropped on the way in. I got dropped on the way out.
Wow.
You know, and it was like, and it wasn't a clean shot either. It was a grazing shot. But where I was able, when I was younger, I was able to get in and get out a lot faster. And it just happens, man. Like, it just father time. And I know people say that all the time. It's not an excuse. It's legit. Like, it really is. Like, you just you can't get in and out.
Totally legit. And it's totally legit. And it's exactly what you were talking about. We're talking about this.
Yeah.
1/1000th of a second difference, but that's the difference of something actually touching you and touching you possibly kind of hard compared to it just sliding by.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, and then I felt like it was on the way out of like getting into the pocket. He was getting in just fine, but then he would stay there just a second too long. Whereas before he would get out and be done. And I felt like that's when he got hit with some clean shots and it was done. And then just, you know, I think also, too, he's always been a little bit shorter fighter, and I think Brian Ortega kind of opened up people's eyes to the uppercut, and I feel like he
dips that head down.
He dips the head down because he keeps his chin
especially
nice
when
and
he
tucked.
exits.
Yep, and he keeps
when he's going to
that chin
exit, he
tucked.
comes in, he rolls it out.
And so it's almost like they just throw it because he is shorter, you know, but it's just so frustrating to watch. And, you know, he's one of my closest friends in the sport. I mean, period, you know, and so... And it's tough. It's hard to watch, but I know exactly. I know exactly what he's going through, and you're gonna have to start looking at yourself in the mirror and going like, "Okay, look, do I make the change to 35 like what's his name did?" You know, but to me, Aldo has always been really, really fast. But for me, when I looked at Frankie the other day, he looked significantly slower. Now I don't know if it's because he didn't have a full camp. You know, he didn't get the chance to develop the fast twitch and lean out a little bit, you know, because he's never a big guy, you know. So sometimes, you know, I've noticed that when I start camp, I'm fast for about 30 seconds. Then, you know, and then it just goes away because I'm fat and tired, you know. But then as the camp goes on, my speed, it picks up. It gets faster because you're working on speed drills. Yeah. And it stays for the 15 minutes or the 25 minutes of the fight. So he didn't have a full camp, and, you know, maybe that had something to do with it. But he looked slower on the exit. He still looked fast coming in. He just looked slower on the exit, and I hate to see that because I know that's kind of where I was when I lost to Patricky, who was my last fight. It was the exit I was getting caught on, not the entrance. And that just kills me because you just know it's getting close. Like for me, I was like, all right, man, what are you doing it for? I went back home and started questioning myself. Like, are you doing it for the money? Nah, financially I'm okay. You know, like, what are you doing it for then? I love it. I love doing it. But what else do you love? I love being able to have this conversation right now, okay? Like without you know? Even though sometimes I still do. Even though still sometimes I do that. Sometimes.
I never bring those moments up when you do that either.
Yeah. It's so bad when I'm the one doing it, you know, and I'm talking to John. John's 75 years old now. And so it's like, it's rough, you know. Here I am, you know, only in my 40s.
When that 75-year-old is just talking circles now.
Yeah, it's so funny.
The one thing I do think that just out of the short that we saw, I thought the Korean Zombie looked at the fight that Frankie had with Max Holloway, and he saw exactly what Max Holloway, where he was successful. Max kind of just set his feet, little steps forward, and let Frankie come into him. And when he was making that entrance in, would take just a little step off and throw those hands. That's how he caught him, you know. And so good for him. Game planning, seeing where someone was successful, you know, what worked against Frankie. You know, that was it was a beautiful performance by the Zombie, man. I'm telling you, that was, he took a great fighter and made him just look average.
So my next question would be, do you have maybe Max and Korean Zombie fighting each other?
Yes.
You know, now that Max is lost, Volkanovski's out with a broken hand for a while. And you've got Zombie, who's pretty much next in line. I would think Zombie and Max would be next in line.
Well, I think you do one of two things. You got four guys. I'm sorry, they're kind of sitting in there. You've got Yair Rodriguez. Okay, so you can take Yair and you can put Yair against, and I would put him against Max, and because that fight hasn't happened, and then you've got Zabit sitting there. And you could put Zabit against the Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
While Volkanovski's sitting out with a broken hand, then you can decide, am I going to put those two winners together, or am I going to just take one of them and put him against Volkanovski because he comes back quick? But I would really love to see those two fights.
Yeah. I almost feel like I would like to make Yair fight. Who did you say? The one that he ducked out of and didn't want to fight.
Zabit.
I'd make him fight him just because he didn't want that fight. He left the UFC. Basically, just said like, no. I would make him fight that fight. Like it just, and you put Max in and Zombie, and they're gonna probably stand in the center of the cage and just go toe to toe.
And the odd man out right now is Brian Ortega, who had that fight with Zombie and had to pull out with an injury. And you're looking at where are you gonna put Brian? Because he's
been out for a while.
He's there. Yeah,
he's been out for a while. Yeah, he was on a tear too. I think that was his first loss was to Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You put him, I guess you could have him fight Zabit instead of, or maybe I'd like to see him or Yair. I'd like to see him fight Yair also. You know, touch him on the chin. We could do that fight in Mexico. Makes sense.
You could do that fight in Mexico.
Makes sense.
That'd be a good one. Yes, it does.
It does make sense. Look at me. Look at him. I'm a matchmaker.
Look at you giving these suggestions for free.
What'd you say?
For free.
Look at the big brain on Josh.
Sean Shelby and Mitch are over there just watching now saying, damn, that Josh Thompson, he's dumber than I thought.
Yes. Yes. Yep. I think they've been saying that for years. We're going to break down this last weekend's Bellator show as well as this week's Bellator show coming up in Japan. Hawaii, USO, and then Ryzen Bellator Ryzen fight in Japan.
That's good. Cross promotion. I love that.
Yeah, hopefully some other shows.
The way it's supposed to be. When it's about the fighters.
Sound a little salty there, John. You got something to say?
I am salty. I am pretty fucking salty. I admit it.
Okay, let's talk Friday night fights. Friday night was the USO fights, so Bellator joined with the USO. I always say we, because I work for them, but we joined with the USO. Bellator did, and we hosted fights for the military, and it was great. We had tons of people that came out, thousands of people that came out, which is awesome. We went around on Monday and Tuesday. We flew into Hawaii on Sunday, went in Monday, Tuesday to hit up all the bases. I was at the Marines all on Monday. I didn't do Tuesday. You did Tuesday, though.
I was with you on Monday with the Marines.
Yes.
We were training. It was fun.
We had a good group on Monday.
Oh, we had a really good group. They were up for anything.
Yeah. Dave was texting me how jealous he was because I was hanging out with Jake Hager. He was like, man, I can't. This is bullshit. I can't believe you get to hang out with him. I'm like, no, son. He gets to hang out with me. You have to remember that.
I'll tell you my Jake Hager story somewhere in here.
Okay. He
was classic.
He was great, man. It was so It must have been so embarrassing for him to lose takedown after takedown in front of everybody. To me, I was just taking him down at will. Mind you, I was just demonstrating the move, but it was great. We had a good time, man.
But could you beat him in a ladder match for the WWE title?
Yeah, a ladder match. I could do it. I could beat him.
I'll tell you what. One of the things that was funny is to set it up. We were teaching the Marine Corps, and Josh, kind of took it over, and talking about takedowns and setups, following your hands in to get the clinch. But when you were teaching the knee tap, he was not ready for the knee tap, and he did go down hard. He said there, and all of a sudden, what? Boom, and he hits the ground. I went, I don't think he was expecting that one. And actually, I did a thing with him earlier. And I'm so freaking old. I'm showing him what to do in a plum and stuff. And he goes, show me that again. And so I said, well, then this is what you do. And I sweep his leg. And he started to go down. And I tried to catch him. Yeah. And in catching him, man, I almost pulled my damn hamstring. He's so damn heavy.
Oh, it was great, man. We had so much fun with those guys. And we had Jay Glazer with us. We had Makua Rothman, who's a big wave surfer.
Makua is awesome.
Makua is a great guy. Jay, obviously, the voice, the guy's voice just carries over everything. But Jake Hager, that silent guy, real quiet, very nice, very humble, just fun to be around. And God, man, I had such a great time with him. And it was almost like, what's that on... Saturday morning cartoons, you have the bulldog, right? And Jake Hager's the big bulldog, and I'm the little chihuahua. It was just always like
yippity guy.
Yapping to him the whole time. It was funny. We had some good trash talking and some good setups, and we went through it all, and It was funny. It was funny. You try to get him to show the defense to my choke, and I was like, so I switched it to another choke.
You switched it. You're not supposed to switch it. That's cheating.
No, that's how I work around here, son. If one submission doesn't work, I go to the next. No, but it was
go to the next.
We had a great time. And then honestly, if you guys haven't seen the footage, you guys got to go to the YouTube Bellator's YouTube channel and check out the sparring session between Jay Glazer, who's like 5'6", Jay's like 5'6", 5'7", and Jake Hager. They're jousting with headgear and cuffs on. It was so funny, man. But I gotta tell you, Jay way outpunted the coverage. He did a phenomenal job. I didn't think he was going to do that good. You said he won. I think the verdict's still out.
I gotta give it to my man Jay, man. Look, you can say what you want. There's that motion, and they're talking. You got to imagine that pugil stick is a blade on the end of your rifle, and he hits across Hager. That would have cut it. That's a slash. That's a win. I'm going Jay Glazer.
Wow.
Especially after Hager stuck me with the bill.
That's true. I forgot. Man. So you're just being a little biased there. You're being biased because you got stuck with the
bias.
bill. No,
I'm going to get him back. That was so funny because after our USO, you and I are sitting down there with Jay and Hager and my wife and everyone, and we're having some drinks and we're eating some food, and Hager just is drinking more and more, and he's getting quieter and quieter. He was, and all of a sudden, it's funny because he sit there and he goes, he's just dead silent, right? I like dogs.
I started laughing,
and I'm like, I'm looking at him, right?
Yeah,
and I go, yeah. He doesn't say anything.
Nothing else,
right? Goes about 2 minutes, doesn't say a word. I don't like cats.
That's so funny.
Right? And then he's like, 2 minutes later, see that rock? I could do 100 push-ups on that rock. He was just, I'm going, oh, he's toasting. I want to buy you guys a drink. Hey, drinks for everyone. Come on. I'm buying drinks. And he takes off after ordering the drinks.
For everyone.
And he's gone.
Yeah.
So Jay Glazer is trying to hammer him with the bill for the room by getting his room number. We get his room number, but it comes back. It's bad because there was a slip up between the USO tour and the Bellator thing or something with his room. So I ended up, the lady brings the bill. It's a $400 bill. And I'm like, son of a bitch, man. I paid the $400 bill.
Oh, man.
That bastard, he caught me. I'm going to get him.
He owes you.
That was funny.
Owes you big time.
It was a good time. He was so funny, man. The more he drank, the quieter he got.
Yeah, we had a good time, though. We had so much fun. Just sitting down by the ocean. It was good. It was funny. I do remember he's like, I like dogs.
I like dogs.
Everyone kind of went quiet.
We
were like expecting more. We were expecting more out of it. We all joked, laughed for a second, and then we go back to talking. And then I don't like cats. It was fun. It was good though. Anyways, good stuff. We had a great time. If you guys haven't checked out that video, go to the YouTube Bellator's YouTube channel and check it out. There's a video of Jay and him. You guys be the decision makers, the judges. But it was pretty funny, man. I was watching it. Great
Slash
tour. Yeah.
Victory Glazer. I'm going Jay.
We had a great tour.
Somehow I'm going to get a ticket to the Super Bowl here.
Yeah, right. I see the angle you're working here, buddy.
That's it, man.
Okay, so let's talk the fight card.
Let's talk about let's go. The disappointment. Josh Barnett is going to be coming out for his debut fight with Bellator, and people didn't know, but in Hawaii there, a lot of our crew got sick. Yeah. It reminded me of a show that long ago, UFC 35, the first time it was ever in Uncasville with the Mohegan Sun, the hotel we were staying at. Everyone got sick. Kevin Randleman was accusing people of poisoning him. He was going crazy. Mark Coleman was trying to control him. Everybody got sick, and that kind of happened in Hawaii. There, a lot of people were getting sick. There was something going around, and Josh just got it because he had it. You know, he looked good on weigh-in day. He did his pro wrestling shtick for the open workout. And he did great. He was looking good. And the day of the fight, he just got seriously ill, man. And it happens.
Your wife got sick.
My wife got sick, yeah.
We had like 6 or 7 people on the production team that was sick. You know, we had, I call her my Jamie because she's up at the desk with us, like taking care of everything because she's amazing. So she was helping me and Jay and everyone, and she got a little sick.
She got sick.
Some of the other guys, you know, some of like the bigger guys that we would see every day, like Sarno was getting a little bit of a sore throat, and he kicked it a little bit. But man, it was going around. It was going around, and then it wasn't just that. You and I kind of even on the day before had kind of like some rumbling stomachs and
damn that acai bowl.
I think it was the acai bowl because we both had it that day.
Kicked my ass,
and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, this is not going well for me right now." So, yeah, but yeah, I think I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, well, you look at Ronnie Marks. I felt bad for him too.
Yeah,
but he got his pay.
Yeah,
because you know he was there to fight, and his opponent can't fight. Josh, I don't know if you know Bellator is gonna help him out there, but that was a big payday that just got crushed by an illness. You talk about a expensive illness.
Yeah,
that is a bad day at the office right there.
I look at it 2 ways. Bellator did the right thing. I believe they have to pay Ronnie though, right? Because he made weight.
He made weight,
yeah,
and he was there to fight. They have to pay him at least what they call show money.
Yeah,
you know,
which normally Bellator is show money heavy. So they're more like if you're making 150,000, you're probably going to get 100,000 of that is like your show. And then the 50 is to win. You know, so it's normally something around that. Anyways,
some guys they don't even have it. It's just whatever is that's your pay.
Yes, that's kind of the deal was. But I look at it this way. I know it wasn't ideal for what Ronnie wanted, but on the flip side of it, you getting 2 paychecks because who knows?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you got pay without taking any damage, and you're guaranteed a fight. Now I do know there was a little bit of buzz of them maybe potentially being moved to the LA show. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
I don't either.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I
kind of doubt it.
I doubt it too. Card's pretty much already set in place, and you know, it's kind of we'd be trying to cram that fight in there, and I don't think it would work. You know, the other thing too is that I think it would start causing a little bit of problems, like social media wise, and media wise, like saying like, oh well, Josh wasn't feeling well, so now you're gonna go ahead and reschedule it this soon. Kind of favoritism kind of thing. So I think they need to give them a full camp. Both guys have a second to kind of take a break from training for a week or two. Okay, let's reschedule this for a real fight.
Back it off for just a couple of weeks and then go back into training, get a date and go back into it.
Yep. No, I agree. What were the fights that impressed you the most out of that main card?
Out of the main card that night, I thought Joey Davis. God damn, he's looking good.
Yep.
Joey Davis has turned into an MMA fighter, man. You know, and again, we talk about fight IQ all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, Chris Cisneros has been around a long time. Done a lot of his fights. We're talking, he's got that, just the staple Hawaiian, let's scrap brawl, and he will stand there and throw down with anybody. And Joey Davis came out, took him right off of his feet. But it wasn't so much the takedown, and take him to the ground. I like that. That shows me, hey, you're thinking, you're being smart. You're not going to sit there and throw bombs with a guy that likes to throw bombs. It was the way he did his ground game and the way he controlled the positions and the posture that he gained and the shots that he was throwing down, how much power was on him. He is just progressing as a fighter, man, and he's gonna be the real deal at 170 pounds. People are gonna have to watch out because he's athletic, he's fast, he's strong, he hits hard. He's got the whole thing going. So, I mean, I was very impressed with his performance.
Yeah, I agree. He's still he's got a lot. He still needs a lot of growth. Obviously, we're not saying he doesn't. I did like how smart he was, and when I got to tell you, when he came into the fighter meetings and we was talking, and you saw the excitement on my face, I'm like, man, where's this Joey Davis? Like, why can't I hear this Joey Davis every time we have a fighter meeting? And then when he got up there in the cage afterwards and gave his talk,
Yep.
you are a walking superstar. All you have to do is just speak. Like, he's so well, like, just so well prepared, so well mannered. So the way he speaks to the public, I thought it was amazing. Like, he fought very smart, nice double legs to take down. I kind of knew we knew if he uses wrestling, there was really no way he was going to lose this fight outside of getting caught on the way in, But I look at it. I look in terms of, I don't know if these guys will still be champions or these guys will still be at the top by the time he decides to, start making those leaps, But he, to me, is someone that can automatically give somebody like MVP a problem because of his wrestling, because of his physicality, because of just straight athleticism. Like, that to me is, I know he's not quite ready for that yet, that type of level of experience. But shit, man, his wrestling, his physicality, and his explosiveness. And I don't want to jump the gun too much, but him and Lima, like, he's kind of has the things that could potentially make it hard for Lima. Not yet, but he has. They're there.
Not yet.
But I'm saying that they're there. And we don't know if they'll progress enough to get there. But
so he's 2 years away.
Yeah.
But in 2 years, look out.
Yeah.
Look out.
Yeah.
That was the first time that Joey's been on the main card.
Yeah.
And that's a progression, and that's something, to get under your belt, get used to being in that position where now you're one of the bigger fights, that main card now on TV, you're going to be on TV. That all is something you learn how to deal with, and he's looking really good. I thought Taiwan Claxton looked really good. Coming off of a disappointing loss to Emmanuel Sanchez, I think he learned. Mm-hmm. He learned a lot out of that fight because Emmanuel is such a veteran and was able to do things in that fight that had never been done to Taiwan, as far as pushing the pace on him, making him, not be comfortable in positions. Mm-hmm. And Claxton went back to the drawing board, brought people in to help him with certain, areas that he was, getting exposed on. And, the kid that he fought, I watched all of his fights, and his wrestling is really good. Mm-hmm. Very good wrestler and depended upon his wrestling. But I wasn't, of the mindset that I thought he was going to be able to out-wrestle Claxton. But at times he got good positions on Claxton. Claxton just nice and easy, worked his way out, and always brought the fight back to the point where he was the one controlling that pace, the distance, where the fight was going to be, took him down, and just systematically started to dismantle a good young fighter and show the difference in maturity of a more veteran fighter, a guy who's now learning, I see what you have to do in these moments. I see how you control the pace. I see how you can rest. A really important fight, in my opinion. The way he fought it, coming off of that loss, shows, man, he's got a high IQ, and he is he's still learning. He's got some things, he's still got to work on, but he's going to be something special.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is going to be something special. He's just got to keep evolving, keep understanding that, they're not going to all be highlight reel knockouts. You
want them to be.
Yeah, they're not going to all be that. And then, if it's not going your way, you have to make adjustments between rounds or throughout the round. If things just aren't happening the way you thought they would happen, you have to make that adjustment and figure it out as you're going. And if you can't do that, you're never going to get to the top. And he didn't really have a whole lot of adversity in this fight, but there was moments there where he was in bad positions of potentially being taken down and potentially having his back taken and things like that. And he, like you said, it seemed like he slowed his heart rate down. He slowed his pace down. He just focused on the technique to get out of there. Good wrist control every time his opponent had his back. Like, he had good wrist control, trying to fight, break the wrist, turn and face, that kind of. I thought he did a good job. I think this was a good stepping stone for him to get back on track. I would have liked to have seen him get his opponent out of there. I don't know if that was ever an opportunity. I didn't see an opportunity or a chance for that to really happen, until like basically the last like 10 seconds. I think is when he mounted him. I think the last 10 seconds, if I recall, and he just couldn't. There wasn't enough time. But overall, like I agree with you. He made all the right adjustments throughout from the last fight to this fight, and his opponent showed though too that. He's not quite ready for that level, but he deserves to be in Bellator. Like, he deserves to be in a bigger promotion. He's just not quite ready for that Claxton or like
that kid's good.
He's good. So he just needs to make a couple adjustments and understand that, hey, just because you're winning in the gym against guys your size, guess what? There's another 200 people your size out there.
Bigger fish in the pond.
There's a lot of them out there. So,
but Braden fought
KO.
really well.
Yes.
Especially, coming in, not a ton of experience. Just really, he impressed me. He's going to be a good fighter.
Yeah. Very true. What was the other fight that was on there?
Oh, come on. It was actually my performance, the fight of the night.
Alejandro Lara. And,
hello.
Yeah. John, calm down, buddy.
No. We're gonna talk about the fighter meetings and my partner Josh Thompson. I finally figured out how I can shut Josh up. All I have to do is have Alejandro Lara walk in.
So funny.
In Hawaii, and he just. I admit, I did the same thing.
I had nothing to say. I was like,
hello.
Yeah, like if you guys are at home watching and you guys think she's beautiful, wait till you see her in person. Good God. So she's a she's a pretty girl.
She is a pretty, and she's just a sweetheart of a person.
Yes. Look, I was a little concerned when we were talking game plan with her, and she said, "Oh, she felt comfortable being on her back," and I was like, "Oh, you don't want Fedor Ortega on top." I was like, I don't know about that, but I think I don't know. Something happened from her last performance where she fought at 135 to this performance. She looked really good at 135, so I was like, "Oh, she's going back down to 125." I don't know how's this going to work.
But she didn't make weight.
Yeah, she didn't, but she missed it by what? 0.06.
No, 0.8, yeah.
Oh, 0.8, okay. So she didn't miss it by a lot. Like,
no.
Toby Misek missed it by 5 pounds.
Yeah, that's missing.
Yeah, that's like you almost didn't try. And I like Toby, but look.
That's an air ball.
Yeah. What was I saying? We're talking about Alejandro Lara. So it just became one of those, I was getting concerned when she said the game plan was like, if I get taken down or if I'm on my back, I'm okay. I'm like, believe in my submissions and this, I'm like, no, you don't want Fedor on top of you, raining down punches, carrying her weight. Like, you just don't want that, and she had lost to Ilima-Lei that way. Like being on bottom, just trying to hit submissions and just got outworked and just out hustled and Lima was just nasty Ilima-Lei was just nasty on top. And so she never got off the bottom and she lost the fight. Lost her chance of being the champ. And so when I heard that, I just thought to myself, this may not go your way. But then she came out and she fought a completely different fight. And I'm like, okay, perfect.
She was never on the bottom, and her striking has absolutely turned the corner. She is so much better now. She understands. Man, she was shooting that left hand straight down the pipe, and then elbows inside. Everything she did was smart. Everything she was throwing was in this tight box, while Vita was throwing these looping shots to the outside, and she's just lacing her up with those tight shots inside or that straight left that she was hammering her with. God dang, it would look good.
Yeah, I had came to the conclusion that they must have saw something in Vita's game that made them realize that when they got Vita against the cage, don't throw any punches, throw elbows, because what I had seen from Vita was that she throws really loopy punches from when her back is to the cage. She doesn't have the space to throw, to throw tighter punches. She doesn't throw tighter punches when her back is to the fence. So when they pushed her back to the fence and threw elbows, all of Vita's punches were going around her head, around Alejandro's head. So nothing was landing. Her face was wide open to be elbowed. And it was a brilliant game plan. That, And then they kept going to the body, they kept going to the head, they kept doing things like that with the push kick to the body, the side kick to the body, and the head kick. And then that head kick, she landed beautifully, knocked Vita down.
How many times?
She landed a couple times, but she only knocked her down one time with the head kick right in the first. But she fought a very well-rounded fight, and I agree with that straight left down the pipe. That was all set up by little feints and little things that she had done to set up the head kick as well. And so I thought she fought a wonderful fight, and Vita the whole time just straight up is a dog, man. Just going in there and just getting after it, man. She's just fucking gritty as all hell.
She got no quit, man.
No, there's never a moment where I was like, oh, she's going to quit. Never a moment do I think that.
Nope.
Ever. That's what I talked to her after. I said, look, she was frustrated. I said, if you go back and you watch the fight, it's one or two little tweaks here and there that would have changed things. I said, but there's not something you can fix in the, like, because you throw loopy punches, that's a habit. That's not something you in the beginning in the fight you just fix. Like, oh, okay, and they've been game planning for you for that. Throwing close in elbows and so that made it made her understand that, like, go back and watch the fight. You're still in this one, focusing on a couple things at camp, and come back in and you just make those tweaks and you'll be back on top. You'll be ready to get your title shot again. So she seemed like she understood. She had hit me up yesterday and said, hey, I appreciate the kind words and thanks for buying me a drink. And it just I like to when the younger fighters come up to me and talk to me, I just like to be like, hey, you're still in this. It's like one loss is not defined your career or who you are. You just got to make a couple tweaks and get back at it.
I talked to her too and told her, little tiny things.
Yeah.
Tighten things up. If you tighten things up, you're not going to take as many shots. Things are going to go your way. You're going to be landing shots. That's going to affect your opponent. If there's one thing I can say about her, I say it with the utmost of respect. She is a junkyard dog.
Yeah.
Man, she will just latch on, bite onto you and not let go no matter what you do. And I love that attitude from her.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. Yep. Okay, so the main event, which got bumped to the main event, which was Eric Perez and Toby Misek.
Yeah.
So, look, I got to tell you, as soon as we found out, and we had known two fights before, I think that Josh was out. And when we found out Josh was out, I was like, oh, man, we have the girl fight that's basically on deck right now. I'm like, oh, this could be a kind of like, could be a sleeper fight. Like we saw, it was a great fight, a sleeper fight, or it could have just been a sleeper, as in like a snoozer fight too.
Snoozer fight.
You just never know what you're going to get. I mean, we know Rita, she always tends to bring it, and Alejandra looked really good her last fight, so I was like, all right, this could potentially work out to be great, but we weren't sure. The Toby and Perez fight, I was like, look, if the two of them decide to stand and trade, this will work out wonderful for us. Bellator couldn't have asked for a better situation when your main event like that drops off on how your last two fights finished.
Absolutely.
We fucking got lucky. We got lucky. I mean, you could have had two fights that just drug out and went the distance and nothing was done. I thought unfortunately for Eric Perez, didn't go his way, but Toby Misek came out, beautiful job. And this is what we talked about in the Fight Insights. When Eric Perez stepped off the scale and walked up to Toby and goes, hey, let's give the fight the fans want to see. You thought I was going to mess it up, huh?
No, you did it good, man.
Yeah, he said, let's give the fight the fans want to see. And when he said that, I was like, and we had talked to Toby about being smart in the fighter meetings. We talked to him and said, hey, if you fight smart, you've got a chance.
Got a good chance.
In that first exchange, they came out and they both threw like 2 or 3 punches, boom, 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 real quick. And Toby backed out and he like reset and re-entered. It was like for another. That's being smart. Had he not been smart,
that's not the Toby that we've seen in the past.
Exactly. And so that to me was being smart. I'm like, he may be taking this shit serious right now. Like this is legit. And then that next combination came and it was like, oh shit, this fight is over.
Oh, dude, when he hit him with that left hand, you saw it just connected perfectly. And Perez actually was still there, man. His hands actually went back, but that next left that came down, it knocked him unconscious, and he got hit with another one and another one. That one brought him back.
Yeah.
But he had no idea what occurred, and I was really looking forward to seeing Eric, because I like Eric, and I think he's a good fighter. He fights well everywhere. The one thing that I was worried about for Eric in this was the speed of Toby's hands, because he's called too quick for a reason. He's got fast hands and he gets fast knockouts, but on the ground, Perez was going to have him. No doubt in my mind. If it went to the ground, Perez is the way better ground fighter. And I really liked the way that Perez came in, man. He was happy to be there. You saw it in his face, man. I can't wait. He's coming off of a 5-fight win streak. 3 of those were in the UFC. He had a 3-fight win streak when he left.
Why did he leave? Do we know?
Yeah. I was told certain things. I'm not sure if it's, exact, but basically you have a couple of different Latino fighters there, and they decided who they wanted. How's that?
Got it.
And so he went to Combates, Combate Americas, and he got 2 wins there, but he was like, no, these aren't the caliber guys I want to be fighting. I want to be fighting the best. And he signed with Bellator, and it's always tough when you go from one promotion to another and then to another. It's not easy. Yeah. People think it's it's no big deal. No. I don't care how many fights you have had when you switch promotions and now you're having that first time of stepping in that cage that they have. It's tough, man. There's a lot of pressure, and it's self-imposed pressure, but it's pressure, and you've got to be able to deal with it. And many times, good fighters lose that first fight in that promotion just based upon being tight.
Just nerves. Nerves get to you. There's so much pressure on you just to perform, knowing that odds are if you came from one promotion to the next and you're coming on a winning streak, or you're coming and with somewhat of a name, they paid you pretty well if you left that other promotion. So there's well, now it's time for me to earn my keep. So I thought, obviously for Eric, there wasn't a whole lot of chance to showcase everything that he has the potential to showcase. But I thought Toby fought a very smart exchange. But I would show this. What I mean by smart, and you can see by the experience, is that Alejandro Lara dropped Vita with a head kick, and when she went down, she rushed in and lunged in with the straight left and missed. And then
she actually missed it. All went off to the side on one of them. She had 2 of them.
So she missed it. Toby stalked his way in and just stepped right in, boom, for the straight left, right in front, bam. And I thought that showed his experience, as well as just his composure in a big situation like that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've ran in almost and just overreacted, and
it's natural.
Just missed
it's so natural. You actually have to hold yourself back from doing it and say, slow down, because you want it. It's my chance to end this. I can end it.
Yeah.
And instead of ending it, you end up creating a mess because you miss.
Yeah.
And you give that person the opportunity to recover. But Toby looked great.
Saturday night was a good night. What fight stood out the most to you?
Man. It's so hard to say exact, but I would tell you straight up, I gotta give it to Ilima-Lei. And the reason I gotta give it to her is just understanding that situation and the pressure, and incredibly how well she handles the situation, the pressure she's under, the atmosphere. For someone who has 11 professional fights, she amazes me in her way. She is crying during walkouts and then pulls it together and puts on a great performance against a girl that I know people don't really know a whole lot about, Kate. I've been in there. She's strong as hell. You could see it by her wrist control and the way she was able to hold on to Ilima-Lei. She's good, and Ilima-Lei just every round went out and just did better and better and better and put on a fantastic performance over 5 rounds. And, at moments, if she would have gotten the takedown 30 seconds before she did, fight probably would have been over.
Yeah.
And so really impressed with her performance. I cannot emphasize how much composure and her ability to handle pressure is just incredible to me.
I get nervous when I see her in the back, because they have their song or their chant, she calls it a chant.
Yeah.
They have their chant before she walks out and fights, but they're rehearsing it in the back. It's just so much energy and
it's a drain. That's what I'm talking about.
It's like wasted energy. I'm thinking to myself, you're about to potentially fight 25 minutes, and you're back here. I don't want to call it the shaka, but whatever, like you're back here.
The haka.
Haka. I mean, like you're out here just using up energy. I'm like, man. And then she did it again on the front. And I'm like,
that's what I'm talking about. Oh. She amazes me because she didn't get tired in that fight.
Yeah. I saw.
Not at all.
It looked like she did going into the second, into the second, she looked tired. And then all of a sudden, I think towards the end of the second, maybe I'm thinking of the third round. One of the rounds, she started to look like she started to get tired. And then she got a takedown, and it was almost like an adrenaline boost. She caught her second wind, and she looked way better after that. I was like, wow, yeah. She was looking more dominant, and I think Kate just never – it's hard to catch your second wind when someone's on top of you, just pounding you or putting their weight on you and your pressure on you. She fought a great fight. She fought a smooth fight. She did what she needed to do to win. She needs to work on her stand-up, know. And I thought it looked better, but
it did look better, but still.
Yeah, I want her to understand. I want her to understand, you've got Liz Carmouche now. We've got Kat Zingano, who actually at the table told us I may try to cut to 25, and I'm like, you and I are not a good idea.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. But she may try to cut to 25. I mean,
I hope she doesn't.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't either. She is 37 years old, and she, it's gonna be hard for her to make that weight. But then you've got Juliana Velasquez, who to me though, honestly,
Juliana looked good.
See, you thought she looked good. I thought she looked bad. Well,
oh my God, you're crazy.
She looked good, but you got to start if you're a promotion, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate to you apparently, because I don't think anybody else is gonna give you crap what I say. But I'm just saying, let's just call it like it is. She should have got her out of there.
Okay. I'll back you on that. I think she should have.
If I'm gonna say, hey, you're next in line for a title shot, and she was just stalking her and punching, and then she'd stop and back away. She'd stalk her, punch her, and then stop and back away. And I get it. Bruna Ellen is good and tough. She's fast, quick, all those things. But there was never a moment that Juliana was in trouble. There was never a moment where.
I want you to watch one thing Bruna does, because I've watched it over and over and over in her fights. And she's gotten rid of this habit halfway, but she still has the habit. And I never say anything about it. I'm saying it now. You watch her, and she used to actually. She does this tilt with her hips.
Yeah.
Okay. It's almost like just a habit. She used to actually take her hands and push her hands down towards her hip when she would do it. And I was like, hey man, that's a bad tell, man. That's a horrible thing. I actually talked to her team about it and said, hey man, she does this, and she puts her, she doesn't even know she does it. It is just a habit that someone has not broken her from.
Are you fucking blind? That's the first thing I saw when she's doing the Dak Prescott warm up. That little twitch of the hip.
Yep.
And I'm like, but I thought maybe because, Machida does that every once in a while. Machida will do it. And then,
she does not throw a kick off of it. She doesn't throw a kick. So it's, when she does it, she's out of position, go. Wow. And it's there for you. And I'm like, God dang, man, she still has that hitch. It is crazy. It is crazy. It's like, who is it in her camp that is not seeing that she does this over and over and over again? It needs to be corrected.
I thought she was doing it as a feint to throw her kick behind it or set up punching or nothing, huh? I mean, from where I'm you're sitting cage side for her, I'm sitting up at the desk, so I'm kind of watching it from the monitor, trying to watch it through the from far away through the cage. So it's a little different. Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering I thought maybe she was doing like kind of the Machida thing, whatever it is. But Juliana Velasquez technically looked good. But I feel
she
like
looked good, dude.
You got to if you want to get that title shot,
you want to emphasize your place in the position for the next title shot.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of people.
Especially after you had such a dominant and good performance by Alejandra Lara the night before.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because it's Alejandra Lara. I'm saying that because she had a good performance, a really dominant performance against Vida, who just fought for the title.
Yep.
Now, Juliana is undefeated. Juliana Velasquez has been very dominant. I can
go back and say, all right, well, Juliana just beat Bruna, and the fight before she beat Christina Williams, who actually beat Alejandra, and the fight before that she beat Alejandra Lara.
Yeah, but
she deserves the title shot.
But we've seen Alejandra Lara look better in the last two fights, a lot better in the last two fights.
True.
But I understand where everyone's going with this. I do. I understand. You have someone who's undefeated. She has been dominant through all of her fights, all of her victories, but she just didn't impress me. And this, I'm like, you gotta. When you got someone hurt as many times she had, Bruna Alef hurt, you gotta get her out of there. Not to mention the size difference. Good God. If that fight goes the distance in Pride or Pride, they give it to the smaller person. You're not. It's Juliana Velasquez walked out of the cage. And Bruno walked behind her. I'm like, good heavens, it's a whole other weight class above you. She is so big.
She is
huge.
Yeah.
I thought she had a good fight.
She did.
Yeah, I guess she'd been. Okay.
She had a good fight, man.
Okay.
You got to give it to her. Bruna is good. Bruna is fast with her hands. She likes to, throw her hands. And Juliana just picked her apart.
Yeah. For
someone one thing I would like to see is Juliana start to transition more into a full MMA fighter and bring her grappling into play at times. But she just likes to stand up.
Well, she's so long, and you can tell that she seems to be bigger than all the girls that she's fighting. Her arms are really long. She's that long-range boxing type fighter from the feet. And, when she gets to the clinch, she'll utilize her judo a little bit, but as well as her dirty boxing. She's got that little, she's nasty in those little areas there. What other fights were on that card?
AJ McKee and Derek Campos for advancement in the featherweight Grand Prix.
Yeah. I'm going to get a little. I'm gonna go. You go first because I'm.
No. Go ahead.
I got a lot. Right. I got a lot to say. I'm gonna be very critical of our young, talented young man AJ McKee.
Go ahead. Be critical.
And I feel like he was exposed. He was exposed to the fact that he's still young. He was exposed to the fact that he looked like he was exhausted.
And why?
And
he didn't look like he was exhausted. He was for a short moment there.
But I felt like he tried too hard in the first round, especially in the first 2 minutes. He tried so hard. The adrenaline came out of him, and he just had that dump. And sure, he looked so sloppy. Not the AJ that we normally see. He just looked sloppy. He looked careless. He looked reckless. I think he really believed that Campos was he could just push Campos around and Campos would back away. I'm like, have you never seen one of Campos's fights? Because I just wanted to know if we had the same assessment of who you were fighting. Campos is, you talk about Vida being a junkyard dog. That's fucking Campos to the T. When you pull up Junkyard Dog, there's fucking Vida Ortega's there, and there's Campos on the other side. Those
female
two
version, male version.
Yeah, they're just nasty, dirty, gritty fighters. They're just down to get down. And when he couldn't get him out of there, there was moments there where you saw AJ pulling guard. Now there was one where he fell back to his back, which I thought was a good exchange for AJ. That showed he was still had his wits about him, because he had got clipped a little bit over the back of the head in the little exchange on the ground. And when he went to get up, Campos had cupped the back of his head like he was going to dirty box him. and AJ just kind of rolled back to his back so he couldn't get the uppercut or land the dirty boxing. I was like, that was very smart. That showed me fight IQ. That showed me that he, hey, you knew that you were going to hit with some clean
position.
Yeah. But he just gave up a lot of positions in situations where he didn't need to, trying to be too hard, trying to be too exciting.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's not good.
You get used to putting people away 8 seconds, and then you go, he's going out fast too. Yeah. And if you think about all of the things that AJ hit on Derek, went for a Darce, went for a rear naked, went for an arm bar at one point on one, all these different things. He was throwing up a lot of stuff, and he squeezed. Mm-hmm. He squeezed on that rear naked when you knew you don't have that. You don't have that set right. You don't have the angle on it. You're not going to get that. And it was almost like, when you see guys that they tap guys out in the gym that just tap because it's uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It's like, Derek Campos ain't going to tap to that, dude. You can make him as uncomfortable as you want. He will not tap to, discomfort. He is going to stick with it. And so you've got to know, I'm not going to squeeze in this situation because I don't have it. You squeeze when you have it. Once you know my arm is right and my lock is right, now everything I have, I make a pressure that makes him know, oh, you're going unconscious. But, the first round, he won 10-8. It was a 10-8 round. Now, the second round is the one that you're talking about. Yeah, I know so. Look at all the attempts. Did he damage Derek? Yes. He hurt him, knocked him down, in fact. Right? Did he dominate the round? Yes. Right there, automatic 10-8 round. Okay. So, definite 10-8 round in the first round.
Man, we just give it out 10-8. It's like candy.
Just like candy. That's a Snicker bar, baby.
I get what you're saying, though. I do get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We go back to the scoring criterias, and you're checking off all the boxes, and I'm at home as a fan just watching, going, yeah. You're
looking at it going, AJ, I don't like the way you're fighting.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll get into how me as a fighter view it. Yeah. Because we're gonna talk. We'll talk more later about the Joe Rogan and some of his comments, and I want to talk about that, which will lead into that. But yeah, go ahead.
So, second round comes out, and you can see AJ is a little gassed from all that stuff in the first round, and then he tried to do a couple of things, and then Derek Campos is gonna be in your grill. That is his style of fighting. If he can get in your grill and start winging shots, he wants to lull you in to that brawl. He's the bull in this. You got to be smart. You cannot sit there and ram heads in with a guy that's got a freaking thick skull. And Derek Campos got a thick skull, man. He's a tough dude. But this is the kind of fight that I always look at and I go, that's a good fight for you. Yeah. I hope you learn something out of that fight. I hope you realize you just can't overrun a good fighter. You can't overrun everyone in this division. Yeah. You have to be a smart fighter and work your way into the point where now I get him.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I thought, for me, AJ came out sloppy, just the nerves. I think just like you said, that he got used to the 8-second knockouts, the flashy knockouts, but you're not fighting somebody with the experience of the level that Derek Campos has fought. There's that. And then the fact that are we seeing, well, I always talk about Darren Caldwell, the fast twitch muscle fiber. Those guys tend to slow down as the fight goes on. The rest of these fights are 5-round fights. How many 5-round fights has AJ McKee fought? I don't even know if he's been outside the second round yet.
This is it.
Yeah.
That one right there.
That was the one there. But we didn't get the championship rounds.
Exactly.
Which, the thing is, and I look back at that submission, he jumped on trying to basically get to the back, slid off, and on the process was able to catch the wrist and pull Campos in. That was
exactly the wrist control on that situation was the only reason that came about.
And then not only that, but then I want people to understand is that when something like that happens, the sweat sometimes helps you get into a tighter position than hurts you. Some people think you're sweaty, you slide right off. Not all the time. Sometimes I slide on, and if I lock at the right time, it's on tight and it's on quick. It's like, and it's on. There's nothing you can do. And I just saw if Campos taps, I'm letting you guys know, that means that shit was tight. Like he's just not trying to get out of that nothing. And I haven't seen him look this good in a long, long time.
Did you see what AJ did? Because a lot, in fact, I want to say that our ring announcer is Michael C. Williams, who is phenomenal, and he came to me, and I've always told him, I say, hey, if you ever have a doubt about what it was, just ask me, and I'll tell you exactly what it was. So he goes, triangle armbar, and I go, no, armbar. You don't triangle so he didn't have a triangle on it. He had an armbar. He just has his legs in a figure four to control the body. Yeah. But when you see AJ starts to pull, but then smart. Yeah. Nope, let me wrap that. He wraps it, and then watch the hip extension. Yeah, that was a tight arm bar. Yep. If I was Derek Campos, I'd have been doing this a lot faster.
Yeah, I did see that actually. How he did it. He actually stuck his that
arm,
the hand inside the armpit.
Yep.
Just kind of locked it in and hipped into it. Oof.
Well, and it's also this is for people to realize. When I have that arm and I have a hold of it and I'm trying to put that thumb up and I have it on my chest here, I want you to think of the difference of the length from my chest to that hand being behind. Think of how much deeper that is and how much more extension you get. That is a tight arm bar. That is exactly almost like what Ronda Rousey caught Kat Zingano in when they had their fight. It was only like 14 seconds long. Kat went after and made a mistake and gets caught, and you see Ronda lace that arm behind and extend the hips. That's tight.
Yep. Yeah. What other fight?
Different leg position.
Yeah. What other fight did we have?
Well, we had. I always have a thing about Zach Zane. I like Zach Zane. I like Nainoa Dung. Nainoa is young, and there's so much for him to learn. And came in this as 2-0, wanting to take on a guy like Zach, who is an experienced fighter, a guy that I've been in the cage with. Very exciting guy. I was really impressed by Zach and how composed he was and controlled, because Zach is the guy that takes crazy chances in fights. He had I need to take this kid to the ground. I need to use my ground game. But I was very impressed with Nainoa off his back, man. He hit that reverse multiple times. The same reverse every time. Yeah, he hit it every time. He would extend out, boom, you see him, all of a sudden, there goes your tip, and he's coming over on top. But Nainoa lost that fight on just maturity, just being a young guy and not, wanting to go out there and throw his hands and not, saying, I realize this guy wants to take me down. Let me just let him try to come towards me, instead of overextending towards him and letting him shoot under him and bring him down. I thought it was a great fight by Zach. I was very impressed with Zach. I loved the third round by Nainoa. He's trying to finish the fight. He's got Zach tired. He's got Zach hurt, and he thinks he wins the fight because of it. And it was a great round, but no, you got to win at least two of those. And you lost the first two. You were going into that last round having to finish the fight or get a 10-8, and you were on your way. You were doing a lot of good things, but he was able to, again, take you down, hold position because you overextended on a couple of things. And it's just a matter of time and understanding and being able to relax in the fight. Nainoa Dung is going to be really good.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold off on calling him. He'll be really good. I'm gonna hold off on that. It's just relatively it's too soon. There was things in that fight I didn't like that I saw. What I didn't like that I saw was there was no sense of urgency. It was almost like he expected to win when he walked in. You're only 2-0, buddy. Like it's not like you're 15-0. Like I get the AJ McKee arrogance. Like I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying that the confidence and the arrogance. Like you walk into the cage, you're 2-0. Let's hold the parade. Okay, I like the kid. Very well spoken, very humble, very nice when you talk. But that night when he walked in that first round, it was almost like no sense of urgency. Like, okay. And he was on the bottom. Didn't really try to do anything when he got taken down. It's like, I'm okay. Just, like I'm just out here doing what I'm doing. Almost like as if he knew that he was going to win the fight. Like the judges were just going to give it to him. Second round, after they came back after the first round, do you remember what his corner told him? Give me as much heart and desire that guy has. They said, like, I need him a little bit more.
You need to match his intensity.
Yes, that's what
exactly
they said.
what they said.
I need a little bit more intensity. I need some sort of push, so give me some energy out there. And
I thought it was the right call. Greg Jones is the one that said it, and I go, yep, you're right.
Yeah, he does. He just there was no sense of urgency. And then he got taken down again in the second, and he kind of did the same thing in the beginning then he finally got one of the hook sweeps. And he's like, oh, I can get this. And then so every time he got taken down, he was able to get back to his feet doing that. But it took him a couple seconds or two to really try to focus and get back on that. And by then, Zach had already won rounds 1 and 2. The other thing too is I always say fighter IQ, and the reason why I say fighter IQ is that he didn't show any in the third round. He did well by doing the body kicks. Bam, had him rocked. Kind of rushed in a little bit. 2 of them. Very nicely done. But there was an exchange at the end with, I want to say, like a minute left where he scrambled, got up from the bottom because he got taken down, got up from the bottom, could have made space, get back to your feet. Get back to your feet. Right. Instead, he tried jumping to the back.
What are you doing? Stop. Yeah.
He tried to jump to the back. Zach caught the body, and he ended up on bottom again. And that's how the fight ended. And I'm like, all you had to do was just back away, get up. Get up. You got 50 seconds or 45 seconds to go to the body again. You need a 10-8 round. I'd rather leave with a draw than leave 2-1. Now you're a 500 fighher. It's
500.
Well, you know what I mean. Like you're
500's 1-1, 2-2.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that you're 2-1. It's not like you expect more out of the young talented guys. There's so much hype around him.
But I look at it this. Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. Okay. But he's taking on a guy with a whole lot more experience.
Very true.
A whole lot more maturity. And you've got to overcome that. When you're 20 years old, 20 is so freaking young to be fighting on a big platform, man. To have that pressure. And he was really, I think, he had made the statement, Zach Zane is the number 1 lightweight in the Hawaiian Islands. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows it, and I want to take that from him. I want to be the number 1. If I beat him, then I'm the number 1, and that's it's a good focal point. It's something to shoot at. It's your target. I like it, but like you said, you've got to be structured in your way of how am I going to go about doing it, and the game plan that he had, what it was, I'm not sure. But it ended up being, I'm going to be relaxed in the first round. You're right. I was really surprised he was not trying to get himself out because when you're looking at both guys, you're saying one has a distinct advantage on the feet. I thought that Nainoa has a distinct advantage. Technically, he's just better than Zach. He's cleaner. He's got power in his hands. Zach, on the ground, I thought he had it a little bit over, and I know not, the ability to just wear him out there, which he kind of was trying to do. But I'll give Dunn credit. He did really good on the ground as far as protecting himself for most of it. He didn't take a lot of big shots, especially in that first round. But you got to know you're losing those rounds, and if you're losing the rounds and then you go and you lose the second, there's only one way you can go out in that third, and that's balls to the wall to get that win.
Mm-hmm. Look. You just said that with him about Nainoa. Wanted to fight Zach Zane because he's considered to be the number 1 guy in Hawaii. That just shows me right there that he is not ready to make those decisions. Because you're only 2-0 and you're fighting somebody. You're asking to fight someone who is, what was he, 12-7 or something? Or, I don't know.
Oh, no.
He's more than that.
Zach Zane's like 13-8.
13, yeah, something like that. Anyways, 12-7.
He started off his career with bunch of losses just out of not knowing what he's doing. Now he can fight.
Now he can fight. But I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to go back to Joey Davis. We sat in the fighter meetings and we asked him, like, hey, you've got, he's 7-0 now. 7-0. He's finally just getting on the main card. and let's talk. Let's talk like, what's your future hold? Let's say he's like, look, every time I fight, he's like, who do you want to fight? Every time I fight, I'm just in there getting better. That's it. There's no
Doesn't
rush.
matter who I fight.
There's no rush to get to the top. He's not saying like, give me Lima, give me this, give me that. Slow down. Aaron Pico found out the wrong way. Let's push you to the top. Let's go. Sure, you're talented. You got all the skills. But now it's like the mystique of you is over. And people, it's just not there anymore. Sure, you're going to have fan support. People will always love Aaron Pico because he's a great person. He's got a great story behind him. But Nainoa Dung has all that as well. You don't want to lose it at such a young age, at 20 years old. You don't want to lose it. And I feel like that was the step in the wrong direction, obviously, because you lost. But you can't be calling your own shots of like, hey, let me fight Zach Zane because he's the number one Hawaiian. Don't do that. Like that's the immaturity of like it's a rush. It's a race to get to the top. No, you're 20 years old. You're 20 years old. Like
I want to remind you of someone that was 20 and he could beat the world at that time. There was a guy named Josh Thompson. You remember what you were like when you were 20?
Yeah, I do remember. I think I was almost in the UFC. I was already fighting some of the best guys in the world. I get it. But the thing is, it's not even about that though. I wasn't in there going, "Hey, I want BJ Penn."
Are you smarter now than you were when you were 20?
Of course.
Of course. How much?
But I wasn't in a race to get up to BJ Penn and get knocked the fuck out. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like that's the difference. I also think as a fighter you need to know your limitations, and while you're still young, you're still growing. Like when you step into that cage, this is like it's the hurt business. We're in here to hurt people. You need to realize the guys you're fighting, they're just as good as you, and some of them will be better than you. You have to pick and choose your fights properly. Like, hey, I'm not saying you need to stand there and say like, I want to fight that guy, I want to fight that guy. But you also need to know your limits. You need to say like, that guy's really good. I'm still young. I've got plenty of time. You're not going to hit your stride until you're 26, son. Like, there's no way. Like, he's going to be 24, 25, 26. You've got years to do this. So let's slow it down. Let's take advantage of the fact that you're now at 365, training with guys like Michael Chandler, Adam Boric, Michael Johnson, all these guys.
Kamaru
Usman. I mean, like, let's just slow it down and take your time. I mean, that's just the only knowledge that I can think or give to him, because you want to fight the number one guy in Hawaii. Just there's no rush. We'll get to him.
I agree.
Okay, and if we don't rush it, who knows? We might even pass that guy without ever having to fight him. I can rep the flag without having to fight that guy because I'll maybe pass somebody else that's better than him already. Like, it doesn't make a difference. Like, at times and styles make matchups, and that's the thing. That's what disappointed me. Like, he had that talk and that conversation, the fighter me with him, and then I turn, and seconds later I talk to Joey Davis, and I'm like, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear what he said. I want to hear what Joey Davis said amongst all the young talent that gets signed to our roster. It's very impressive on what he said. He made it very clear. Like, look, it doesn't matter who they put in front of me. I want to beat them. And if I'm not going to call out Lima, I'm not going to say MVP. I'm not going to say all these other guys, because when my time comes, I'll be ready. That's all he said, and that's probably why he went undefeated Division II as a wrestler. And that's amazing. So I just think that's the learning curves of that. But at a young age, I hate to see young guys waste their talent like that, like calling their own shots. Just slow it down. We'll get to the top eventually.
I think everything is based upon now what he does after that loss. That's what it's based upon. The losses will teach you lessons. Sometimes it's hard to learn the lesson when you get the win because, I got to win. Mm-hmm. You don't learn anything from it. Losses usually will teach you that lesson that's going to make you better if you're smart. So
I don't know. I was always more critical of myself. Even from wins, I would go home and be like, in my mind, I was always keeping tabs in my head. Like, yeah, you fucked up here, you fucked up here, you fucked up here. Like, I would go back after every round, like, I fucking lost that position. Bob's like, don't worry about it. Next round's coming up. I'm like, so in the fight, I'm telling myself, you got to be better. And I think, when you're young, you have to start remembering, there's always room for improvement. I'm just getting started in this game. I don't know shit. Like, I tell some of the young kids that I train, even in the adults classes, I forgot more than you guys have learned yet. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of, you got to think in your mind as a young kid that there's so much more out there and the game's just going to change. There's no rush to get to the top. And I hate to see, I think Nainoa will figure it out. I'm going to hold off on calling him the future or, having a bright future. I'm going to hold off on that.
He's got a bright future.
We jumped on the Aaron Pico thing, and I'm like, I know Aaron can get back to it, but Razov right now, it's not. The bright future has been halted. The bright future talk, anyways, has been halted.
Okay, I want you to compare one thing here real quick. Mm-hmm. Okay. Aaron Pico in his first fight got hit with a shot that rocked his world and got guillotine choked. Okay. Then he lost to Henry Corrales, knocked unconscious. Mm-hmm. Then he went to and lost to Adam Borch, knocked unconscious. Nainoa Dung lost a decision.
Yeah.
Against a seasoned fighter.
Yeah.
Okay. Never was hurt. Never was really in trouble. So he's got a lot going for him.
I understand.
All right.
I'm being hard on him.
I just want to point that out.
I'm being hard on him.
You're being really hard on him, man.
All right.
He's 20 years old.
I know. I like the kid a lot. I like the kid a lot. I am being hard on him, though. I am.
Yeah, you are, man. Okay. I mean, it's like 20. Come on.
Yep.
I know how stupid I was when I was 20. He's a lot brighter than I was.
That's not saying much, right? He's like, yeah, right? Hey, I guess I could say the same thing. All right, let's talk about Japan. I mean, realistically for me, Japan, it comes down to 3 fights. It comes down to Fedor and Rampage. It comes down to MVP and Chandler.
Okay.
The rest of the card is...
Oh, come on. All right.
I'm sorry. I didn't even look past the rest of the card. I looked at those 3 fights.
The first fight, I think, on the card is Goiti Yamauchi against Darren Cruikshank.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm telling you right now, you can sit there and say what you want. Cruikshank's in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. Cruikshank, if he lands a shot, lands a kick, he's got really good, stand up. He can knock people out. He can land a flying knee. He can do a lot of good stuff. But, man, if he goes to the ground with Goiti, he is screwed.
We talked about this situation. Goiti comes out with the really weird style stand up, like he knows what he's doing, but I don't know if he does because I've never seen him use it. But but it makes people just shoot on him. Stand up guys just go.
Oh, I know. He wants them to.
It's like
I swear to God, talking to him, I said, let's talk about your wrestling because I don't work on my wrestling that much. And I go, you're a ground guy, and he goes, John, I get everybody to take me down. He says they all want to take me down. He goes, I just give it to them. And they go, oh, it's there. They can't help themselves. I'm like, and I'm watching him and I go, it's kind of right, man.
He's on to something here.
You got to take a look, man. Look at who he's lost to. Look at the guys he has beaten. Mm-hmm. He lost to Chandler in the decision.
Yeah.
Okay. But, guys like, Piccolotti. I think Adam Piccolotti's tough as hell and good. Man, he got rid of Piccolotti in the first round. Definitely made Adam's eyes open up because that's how good his ground game is. He's good.
Yep.
So you got that fight. Then you've got Alara Joani, who is fighting Kana Watanabe. Now, Watanabe was on the Japan judo team. She's 8-0-1, but her stand-up is not very good. So it's going to be an interesting fight. If it goes to the ground, Joanni's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. She's got decent ground. She was, definitely better. That's where she beat Beck Rollins, got the knee bar.
Got it.
And but I don't think she's going to be able to knee bar Watanabe. But in the stand-up, she's got good stand-up. So we'll see what she does with Watanabe.
That bulldog style stand-up. She just kind of comes forward and just
comes from the pit bulls, man.
Yep, makes it
a
pit
bull style.
Fight. Yep. And who else?
So that's an interesting one. And then we have the ones you were talking about, Chandler and the MVP. The MVP one is interesting because they've got him going against, Anzai, who is he's a wrestler, a brawler, a go for broke guy, fought in the UFC, is fighting in Ryzen now. I think MVP crushes him. But the other one that I was really surprised by is you got Kita Nakamura, who used to be in the UFC for a very long time. I remember watching. He had the fight that I always felt he got screwed over. He fought Drew Fickett long ago. Steve Mazzagatti called a freaking downward elbow strike that was not illegal. And Drew Fickett, he didn't even get touched by it. And Drew Fickett is faking, and just so he can get air because he's out of shape. And Nakamura ends up losing a decision when he would have won the fight. I always felt he got screwed by that. I felt bad for him. But he's 35, I think 35-10. He's going against Lorenz Larkin, and I think he is screwed. Lorenz Larkin is too fast for Nakamura. Nakamura's got a really good ground game.
Yep.
And if he gets on top of Lorenz, he can cause him some problems. I just don't see him taking him down. I just don't see that being the speed difference is going to be a problem.
Lorenz got to stay out of the clinch with him because he's got really good judo. Yeah, I've taken a couple seminars from him in judo. It's phenomenal. Yeah. Him and Yoshida, they both came into AKA a bunch of times because they're good. They are good friends with Dave Camarillo, and so they came in to give some seminars. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Got a really good ground game. He's solid.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about Chandler and Outlaw, Sydney Outlaw.
Man, I look at this and I really like Sydney Outlaw. I think he's really coming into his own. He's 14-3 right now, coming off a win over Roger Huerta. It's got outstanding jiu-jitsu, very solid ground game, very heavy on top. If he gets on top of you, you're going to have problems. I just don't see him out wrestling Chandler in those positions. Chandler's just a bit faster than him. Mm-hmm. Chandler's got a lot more power on the stand-up than Sydney brings. And it's going to be a tough fight for Sydney. Chandler starts fast, and Sydney doesn't start fast most of the time. Sydney builds into the fight, and by the time he's going to build into the fight, Chandler's going to have a lead on him, and he's going to have to be making up. So he's got to really start off.
Can
fast.
He make Chandler work enough to where Chandler tends to gas out?
And that's if I was trying to game plan, like I said, Chandler is fast. I want you to match him. I want you to, if he's coming in, I want you to get a hold. Just start making his arms heavy. Push him into the cage. Work on takedowns against him. Make him want to freaking take you down and work against him. Make him work for those things. Anything you can do to push Chandler, faster and faster in the fight will end up working towards your benefit towards that third round.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the groundwork's been laid out on how to beat Chandler. It's just a matter of you can get past that first round of his explosiveness and his wrestling. Benson kind of laid it out. I think Will Brooks had kind of laid it out, but not everyone has been able to follow through with it because he is so strong, so explosive. Got a nasty little guillotine. He's got big power in his hands. But if you make him wrestle in the beginning rounds without getting ground and pounded out,
that's what Will Brooks did.
Yep.
Will Brooks made him work in those clinch and grappling situations to where Chandler started to break down in the later rounds.
Yep, and then and then Will Brooks still being fresh, just touch. And next thing you know, he's getting frustrated, and it's not the same fight anymore. Not the same fight anymore. Yep. MVP you already talked about, and then Fedor and Rampage.
Yeah, no. That's one. I know Rampage has been working out with Sam Calavita. Trying to get himself in shape, which is good.
Yeah.
Starting to lose weight instead of carrying all the weight. I thought the weight slowed Rampage down a lot. He was looking very slow. The common opponent you can put as far as recently is Chael. And you can look at what happened with Chael when he fought Rampage, and you look at what happened with Chael when he fought Fedor. And the big difference is Chael was a lot faster than Rampage. Mm-hmm. And Fedor was faster than Chael. Mm-hmm. That doesn't lead to Rampage doing well in the stand-up if Fedor is being smart with his distance and his footwork. Rampage still got a granite for a chin. Yeah. He can take a shot. He can deliver a shot. It's just that Fedor has got to put himself in there. But if Rampage touches Fedor's chin, good night.
It's over.
It's going out.
Look. I'm a Fedor nut hugger because
Yeah, so am I.
the history of just
He's
him
a great guy.
and-
Yeah, and he's a great guy.
and
And
he's an absolute, and so's Rampage though. Rampage is a fucking phenomenal
absolutely.
guy. So like the whole ooh,
That's awesome.
It's awesome, but it's like he's just a great guy, great be around, funny as all hell. Jeez.
Oh yeah.
But your assessment is 100% correct. I think that if Rampage pushes to the clinch or ends up in the clinch at all, he's gonna get tossed. If Fedor can throw Frank Mir, Fedor can throw Rampage. But in that process, if he gets touched at all in the chin, I think the fight's over. Done.
Yep.
I think it's absolutely done.
I think one of the things for Rampage to do is actually push him towards the cage and just dirty box.
Yep.
Just beat, shots inside, hold on to him, clinch, come uppercuts, elbows. Just make it a in the phone booth fight, because that's going to limit the speed and that jump in that Fedor likes to do with his right hand, and it's going to put you in a very good place. The speed comparison starts to dwindle when you're fighting in that phone booth. You don't have to worry about as much, and you're the guy with the chin,
and
he
power.
doesn't have one. Yep,
He's got power too.
Well, they both have power.
Yeah, I think that if you go back in the history of like who has beaten Fedor, and you're talking about who Rampage needs to mimic, I would say is Bigfoot Silva, because he did that when he fought him. I believe they fought in Chicago. Bigfoot Silva just
New Jersey.
Yeah, was it New Jersey?
Yeah.
Really?
I think that was New Jersey.
Interesting. Okay, but Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, was it Columbus?
Columbus,
Okay.
Ohio. Yeah,
There you go.
we were at the Arnold, I believe.
Okay, that's the Arnold class.
Yeah, he just dirty boxed him. Just he just roughed him up against the fence, weighed on him.
Took him down,
yeah.
mounted him, and crushed him.
Rampage, I think, is going to weigh more than him because Fedor's not a big guy. So I think if that gets going, he's going to be able to just hang on him. And let's not forget, even though we don't talk about it much like we used to back in the day, Rampage could just pick him up and put him on his back. Like, he's a savage. Fedor's not a big guy. I could see Rampage just locking his hands, lifting him, and just slamming him. Like, old Rampage, vintage Rampage.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that all day long. And just get on top of him. If he gets on top of him, a punch could just graze him, it could be over. So that's something maybe we could think about. Or people, keep that in your mind when you guys are watching.
I think it's a legends fight.
Yeah.
And I think either guy can win the fight. It's I think they both have their ways of winning. It just depends. Fedor needs to be smart in staying away from Jackson's right hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the left
Trouble.
hook. And the left hook.
Yeah, he does his roll with the left hook.
Yeah.
Yep.
He really just needs to stay away from Jackson's hands.
Well, it's a good way of winning the fight.
Yeah. I mean that's kind of where we're at for that. I'm excited to see it because it is, like you said, it's a historic fight. It's one of those old vintage just legends fight.
It's a legends fight.
I'm excited.
It's awesome. They're both older, so it's okay. I have no problem with it.
Yeah. Let's talk Rory MacDonald. Rory MacDonald leaving Bellator, going to PFL, and
I think it's a good move.
Tell me why.
Multiple reasons. And people are going to sit there and say, well, you work for Bellator. Rory is a fantastic fighter. But he's not the guy that sells fights the way a promoter really wants someone to sell a fight. Connor's the guy that you look at and you go, that's the guy that sells fights. Cejudo's doing it with his bend the knee and stuff like that.
His cringe.
Yeah, his cringeworthy stuff. Rory's never been that guy, and I don't blame him, and it's not. But when you have a guy questioning, I don't know if I should be doing this anymore. I don't know if I can hurt people. That doesn't help you, as a fighter in trying to say, now I want more money.
Yeah.
So I think, the fact he got a big offer from PFL, that's awesome. He can always be in that tournament and make $1 million. And the one thing with it, in my opinion, is he doesn't have to worry about being that media guy, because the way their whole structure is with the point system, he can go in there, fight the fights, get his points, get put in the bracket where he's going to be. It is what it is with, where the brackets are and who he's fighting. He doesn't have to, worry about calling somebody out or having someone call him out. It's going to get put in there the way it is because of the points. and he just goes and fights. Now, obviously, he's got to do media and stuff, but it's a level where he's going to make good money signing there, and he's got that $1 million at the tournament end that's there. That he had a chance at that with Bellator. It didn't happen for him, but overall, I look and say it's not a bad deal for Rory MacDonald. I think he's in that position where it's actually a good deal for him. It's a smart move for him.
I think financially it's a smart move for him. I just think that if you're a fighter and you want to continue fighting beyond, let's just say 2020, I want to remind people that PFL, they pretty much are done with their TV deal, or their UFC or whatever it's called. I don't know if they're on UFC
ESPN.
They're on ESPN. Plus,
yeah,
their app.
Yeah.
I mean, that's potentially going to end, I think, in 2020. They've already reached out to a couple other networks trying to get on those, and they weren't able to. So after the 1 year, I think he's going to be fighting in front of 500 people to 1,000 people at a fairgrounds. Obviously that's the worst end scenario, but I'm simply saying, like, you sometimes got to start wondering, they're not making the gains that you would think. So as a promotion, if you are planning on fighting after 1 year, where your fight's going to be seen? And I think every fighter thinks that, and so
sure.
Like, where am I going to be? Am I going to be on TV? If I'm not, then,
are you falling off the map?
Yeah, you're falling off the map. And financially, yes, I agree with it. But the bigger picture depends on what his goals are after.
You take a look. One of his goals was to be a world champion. He got that.
Yeah.
Right? And now he's saying, I want financial security. And he believes that in this situation, he can get that financial security. So good to him. I think Bellator is looking at it saying, you know what? You're good. We know you're good, but we think that you're not going to beat the guy that's the champion that we have right now. And just based upon the fights that we've put together and seen. And so, if you're not going to be the guy, if you're not that guy that no one can beat, I need you to be a little bit more. And I think that's why Bellator said, yeah, go ahead and take that deal.
Yeah, for the amount of money it was for them to lay out there, it was, the end result is they, go ahead.
I will say one thing. I want people to take a look at how Scott Coker handled that situation. Tweeting out, hey, best of luck to Rory MacDonald. Good luck with PFL. Thank you. Thanks for the fights here. It's the way it's supposed to be done.
Is that a stab at somebody?
No, it's not a stab at someone. It's called class.
Seems a little.
You're supposed to have class.
A little salty, huh?
It's one of the things, and this is what cracks me up, is the sport is about fighters.
Yes.
All right? That's what the sport is. If you go to boxing, do you even look to see who the promoter is?
No.
And do you care who the promoter is? No.
As long as it's a good fight.
Yeah, I just want to see the fighters.
Yep.
And that's sometimes... that whole thing gets in the way. It's like, why do you care about that the promotion? It's the fighters. That's who you care about.
Yeah, they care about that promotion because the promoter makes them care about him because when the fighters leave, he'll still be there. And so as long as he's the face, then they continue to be there. I've said that for years. Anyways, I think I agree with you. It's a good move, and I think in the end, I think he's going to make a lot of money over there, which is good for him and his family. And I actually reached out to him today and wished him a Merry Christmas, and he's always one of the most respectful guys.
He's a great guy
that I've ever been around. So absolutely wonderful family, and I wish him the very best in everything he does.
So do I.
Love him. Love Rory MacDonald. Great job. I appreciate him being at Bellator. The other comment was Joe Rogan. Talk to me, Goose.
I love Joe Rogan, and I would never say a bad word about him as far as, first off, he's way smarter than me. He's a phenomenal comedian. He's a great commentator. And it's really what he brought, what Joe has brought to the sport of MMA is he brought a presence because, he's this, take a look at his podcast and everything. He's got a huge microphone. And I love him, and he has helped build the sport of MMA, just about as much as anybody. Just, the fan base that he has and his passion for MMA. God bless him. I love him. But damn it, he needs to get off of this whole thing on judges. I heard him say that, they need to get rid of all the MMA judges. Well, that would be like me saying, as soon as a commentator makes a mistake in commentary, we need to get rid of those commentators because they made a mistake. There's a whole thing about, is the judging today better than the judging of yesterday? And yeah, it's way better. And there's so many guys out there that are judges that are affected by the words that Joe Rogan says, because they put a lot into this, Josh. They put a lot of time. They put a lot of effort. They care. And people think it's easy. And you're always going to have those fights where people agree with the judges on something or they don't agree on another. But the judges are going by a certain criteria. They know what they're looking at. Most of these guys anymore, Joe talks about, they come from a boxing back. These guys are boxing people. No, they're not. Those people are not around anymore. At one time, yes, athletic commissions took their boxing judges and tried to put them into MMA, and it was a disaster. I'm not saying that I can tell you there's no boxing people at all, because athletic commissions are, how many of them are there? There's freaking more than 50 some, because with, tribal commissions and everything. But the people that are doing, for the most part, the UFCs or the Bellators, it's a pretty small group. And you're talking about guys that are black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, many of them. All right. Guys that have fought, guys that have, participated in the martial arts throughout their lives, and they're good at what they do. I can start going down the list of these people and who they are and what they've accomplished. But for Joe to sit there and say, you need to fire all of them, man, you're painting a very broad stroke with a very large brush that's affecting a lot of people that have done a great job and deserve a lot more respect than you're giving them.
Did he give a solution to it? Like, to put who would he put there?
He said he actually said, we could do more judges, 9 judges or something like that, I heard. And then there was also, it needs to be ex-fighters. That's a comment that's just crazy.
Let me touch base on this. You were the one that kind of enlightened me to this, and I actually took the time to go back and watch some fights that I already knew the results to, and I watched them as if I was judging them versus as if when I watched them the first time. And even though the outcome was the same, except for a couple, like 1 or 2 of them, but I watched quite a few fights, and I thought to myself, you're right. And I don't like to pat you on the back that much, but I gotta tell you. But I gotta tell you, as a fighter, you said it. We were talking just I don't know, probably about 2 hours ago. We were talking, and I'm talking about a fight, and you said you're watching it as a fighter. And I think we're talking about Moraes and Jose Aldo. And at the time, a fighter, what they tend to do, and you want to explain it, the fighters tend to do it, and I caught myself doing that. I judge it as in terms of like, well, if it was me, I would have done this.
What you would do.
And that's not how you judge fights.
It doesn't matter what you would do. It doesn't matter what you like. It doesn't, and it goes both ways. We'll get guys that are, great at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they'll watch a guy throw a triangle on and almost get this guy out of the fight, but the guy makes it through, and the whole thing was trash. That's not the way I teach it. And I don't care how you teach it. I care, was it effective? Mm-hmm. Is it an effective technique that possibly could bring the end of the fight? And was that person having to work hard to defend against it so he didn't get put out of the fight? That's what we look at. And it's very hard for fighters to get out of what they did and what they were good at. And sometimes they look for guys that fight the way they fought. And it could be that guy's losing the fight, but they like the way he fights because he fights the way they fought, and they're giving credit where it doesn't belong. So, you could ask Frank Trigg, it took me forever to get Frank to look at fights the right way and be able to judge it like a judge would look at, because he was going off of what he liked to do. And I've had it with multiple guys, and it's hard for someone to change, and they can. But to sit there and to think that I can take fighters and put them into those seats and people are going to be happy, they're not. They're going to have the exact same thing happening, and they're going to be more upset because it's going to happen more often. The guys that are out there doing the big fights, You know, the Sal D'Amatos, the Derek Clearys, the Chris Lees, you know, the Eric Colognes, those guys, they're good. They know this sport and they know how to judge it. Now, one of the things that needs to be clear is Joe gets to look at a monitor, and I will tell you, based upon me working for Bellator now, I know that I see the fight way better on that monitor than I do when I watch it live. And when I'm watching it live, I get one angle and I sometimes lose what's going on, like a judge would from that seat based upon positioning the fighters, positioning the referee, all these things. You can lose things where if you're watching that monitor, you get the right angle because my director's giving me the best angle for the fight. Now, could it be that at times that's not even good? Sure, that can happen too. But man, I'm telling you, we definitely need to improve officiating, be it refereeing, judging, all of it. You know, it needs to improve, but it's continuously.
It's not a perfect science, though, and no one ever said it was.
No, it's not, and it's subjective. And the thing is, if you're going to have this criteria, if Joe is going to make comments off of that, you know, performance by these fighters, then Joe should know the criteria that those judges are using and have to use to judge that fight.
Yeah, I've been on the end of some decisions that went my way that probably shouldn't have, and I've been on the end of some that definitely should have went my way but didn't. You know? And it's just one of those things. I think it's just part of this. Whether it's MMA, whether it's boxing, anytime you have that, that's just the situation in sports in general. You know, tennis, same thing. You get the line judge or this is the game. Like this is this is why we fight, and that's why you're not supposed to leave it to the judges, correct?
Yeah.
So, all right, look, we're gonna wrap this up. I know we told me we'd do a couple just quick questions and drop because this was host, and I can hear the whoosh, whoosh. But hey,
I'm in trouble again.
Safe travels to Japan.
Thank you,
tomorrow
sir.
morning, bright and early. You just landed from Hawaii a couple hours ago. We were able to get one in real quick, and I'm excited to. I'll see you in January.
I'll see you soon, brother.
At LA. Hey, safe travels, man. Okay, I'll see you soon.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy, man. Bye.